made public. Police are also still looking into what caused a wreck last night about 8:30 on Banducci Road. That was east of Sarita Avenue, says the Highway Patrol. They have not said how that wreck happened, but they say that a man was pinned inside a car. He got out of that with minor injuries. The road had to be closed for a short time while it was cleaned up. You may remember the story about the part-time assistant band teacher at Del Oro High School who was accused of having sex with a 15-year-old student in the school parking lot and an ongoing sexual relationship. 27-year-old Salvador Fabian has now agreed to plead no contest to sex charges and will likely be sentenced to 2 years in prison and have to register as a sex offender when he gets out and cannot have any contact with the victim. Sentencing is set for June 8th. You should be aware that Truxton Avenue downtown will be temporarily closed tomorrow for a few hours because of the National Day of Prayer observance. That'll be happening from about 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that'll be the stretch from Chester Avenue to L Street. The city is advising you to plan ahead for a different route if you drive that way. A loaded BB gun brought into the Reading Cinemas at Valley Plaza Tuesday. 50-year-old Ryan Brewer was arrested, say police. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest well, in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Wednesday, hump day, 6th day of May, and another busy broadcast on this first Wednesday in the month of May. A pretty heated debate last night between really about 5 viable candidates. We'll unpack that for you, the highs, the lows, and after the break, I'll tell you who I am for whom I am voting for governor. We'll also get into another shift in, well, not Epic Fury, because as we chronicled yesterday from the audio from the Secretary of State, Epic Fury is over, but now Project Freedom has been put on hold. Another impromptu move by the Trump administration when dealing with Iran, but the president says that a peace deal is close. We'll get into that a little bit. It's a Wednesday, so Howard Marcus will join us at 4 o'clock. And our good friend Stan Moe joins us as he does each and every year to pump up the Piles Boys Camp. Try saying that 3 times fast. And then the 5 o'clock hour, speaking of food, we're going to talk with the folks at Bakersfield College. They've got a food program going on up there that involves Cap K, involves the students. And I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at myself. Got a text message from Lisa. Hi, Ralph. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, Chris. Yeah. It was a big mystery as to why I wasn't getting phone calls or text messages. Somehow, some way, the old man hit the Do Not Disturb sign. And I mean, I was missing text messages like Chris texted me this morning because I forgot to send him audio. I got it like 10 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? I'm a danger to myself. I really am. But we begin with last night's debate, which was, if anything was entertaining, was it enlightening in terms of my decision? I think last night's debate made my decision absolutely in stone. I don't think anybody really distinguished themselves. I'll get into Steve Hilton versus Chad Bianco after the break, but it was a bizarre night in some respects. Katie Porter again is on this Kumbaya campaign where she has two parts of her campaign, which just simply is astounding and just really makes you want to get into the political business because these people are so incredibly stupid. I mean, she should sue whoever she's got consulting or whoever is leading her campaign. But I bet, you know, in these cases, when politicians go so awry, they don't have anybody giving them any. That's the idea. They're rudderless because she's either F Trump, which Caitlin Collins kind of accentuated last night and stated she's not saying F Trump. She actually says F-U-C-K Trump in bold letters throughout her campaign and throughout her oratory. And we'll get to Hilton in just a second because he tore that. That was really the whole campaign of all the Democrats. That why is there a gas tax? Well, Donald Trump. Why is the high-speed rails? Well, Donald Trump. You know, it's just everything is Donald Trump's fault, according to these Democrats. And as we talk about this a little bit later, we'll hear from Hilton, who absolutely tore that apart. So that's one part of her campaign. That's all she's got. The second part of her campaign is this restructuring of her appearance. And I don't mean the fact that she's not very attractive and she's ugly. I didn't say ugly. She's not very attractive and she's not very feminine and she's just kind of, you know, a biscuit away from being fat in terms of politics. But it's her attitude. I told you about the commercial, the ad she's running right now, where she's got her staff behind her. It's a commercial, and at the very, very end, she's got her entire staff behind her, and she says, "Now get out of my shot," which, of course, are the famous words she yelled at a staffer who walked in on a FaceTime deal with the Biden administration, and which, after people started examining her character, kind of encapsulated what a evil bee she is. You want to know the truth? The story of her pouring mashed potatoes on her ex-husband came out. Then the audio that we played yesterday of her going at it with a reporter and damn near walking off literally threatening to walk off the interview and not answering questions that all the other gubernatorial candidates asked and answered. And she just bizarre. Here is her attempt, I guess. You don't have it? All right, let me see if I've got it since I sent it to you. I must have it.
Oh, wait, is this one you sent me?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I got that.
Yeah. This is Katie Porter trying to, I guess, listen to this is bizarre. I guess she's trying to resurrect her character.
I can't believe that on a stage with 30 minutes of interrupting and bickering and name calling and shouting and disrespect for everyone up here who's stepping into public service, that anyone wants to talk about my temperament.
You were actually interrupting them too. I don't know why you want to act like you weren't.
Oh, cowboy up,
Steve and I sat here smiling at each other because we're just watching you all prove to everyone why they can't vote for a Democrat.
Oh, that's a great counterpunch by Chad Bianco. And did you hear the end of that? Wait, play that one more time. Listen to it. She goes, "Cowboy up, cupcake." She's talking to Bianco. Play it one more time.
I can't believe that on a stage with 30 minutes of interrupting and bickering and name calling and shouting and disrespect for everyone up here who's stepping into public service, that anyone wants to talk about my temperament.
You were actually interrupting them too. I don't know why you want to act like you weren't.
Oh, cowboy up,
Steve and I
cupcake. Cowboy up, cupcake. And she's in a most recent poll, she's now back down into single digits. So Kathy Abernathy, I tried to tell you, she ain't the deal. And it was, I didn't know this about Javier Becerra, but there were issues with him as the Secretary of HHS. a woman by the name, I was watching Abby Phillips. She did some post-debate discussion with a panel that included Sochi Anahosi. She is an advisor of the Biden administration. Here's what she had to say about Xavier Becerra's time in the Biden administration.
Oh, which one?
The one, her name starts with an X.
No, you never sent me that.
Dude, it's right here.
I know you never sent me that. I have none of those. That's why I'm telling you. Everything that you wrote down right there that I didn't get until 10 minutes ago, got none of that.
So we have no audio today.
Not right now. I'm trying to get it for you.
Okay, you were going to tell me this when?
You just gave it to me 10 minutes ago.
Well, I know, but you handed me back the pad. I thought,
oh, I gave it to you so you can do the beginning of the show. So, and then I took a picture so I could start getting you the audio.
okay, well, let's just say in the future, it's my fault, Chris. It's my fault.
I'm not.
I just
assume
assumed when you gave me back the pad, we had the audio. You should have said, hey, I don't have this audio. That's what you should have said. Hey, Ralph, I don't have this audio. You just handed it to me.
Well, that's what I went like this and said, no, nothing, got nothing. That's what I was telling you.
But you had Katie Porter.
Yes, because you sent that to me. You sent me the bite via text message earlier today.
Okay. So we have no audio.
Again, right now, I'm working on it.
Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Basically, what Hanoso said was that there were issues within the department that basically the whole cabinet did not think that Becerra was a decent secretary, bottom line. And I don't know if you know this, I certainly didn't know this, but he was involved, because I didn't follow the Biden administration. I doubt many of you did. But there was an issue with a staffer who stole $250,000 from him. And Steve Hilton went on last night. Oh, I don't have that. Steve Hilton went on last night and said, basically, I think you were involved or had some knowledge of it. And so it got a little funky there. And well, I don't know where to go.
I have Bianco, the other one you sent me, and Trump, but I don't have anything else at the moment.
All right, we got Bianco and Trump. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, I'll tell you for whom, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my grammar, for whom I am voting and why. Coming at the bottom of the hour, we'll get into the ended Epic Fury project and the end of Project Freedom and where we stand in the Middle East. Howard Marcus at 4 o'clock, Stan Moe at 4:30, and the folks from BC and Cap K at 5 o'clock. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will talk with local burrito delivery person, Dr. Corey Gonzalez. May, after all, is National Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to enjoy some new dirty sodas from some folks from McDonald's, and we will have state-of-the-art news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Summer is coming up, and a lot of you will have folks from out of town, relatives visiting, and there are just some things that you must see if you're visiting the city of Bakersfield. And one of them is the best steakhouse in Kern County, and that's KC Steakhouse. So if you've got relatives coming into town, make sure you take them to F Street and give them the KC experience. And make sure you go next door as well to the Stockyard, the Speakeasy-like bar. Make sure it's a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night because there's live music in the Stockyard on those nights. And, of course, Jimmy and Bobby are providing live music Tuesday through Saturday in the main restaurant. And even if your relatives aren't necessarily steak people, Chef Daniel has expanded the menu. There are all kind of different chicken dishes. I told you about the different fish dishes, the salmon, the halibut, the mahi-mahi. Where would you rather be? That's the place you have to show visitors of our community our great steakhouse, KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon, Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his long-standing and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
It's time to spring into deals at Lowe's. Freshen up your yard with Stay Green Premium 2 cubic foot mulch. 5 bags for $10. Then get what you need to keep clothes, food, and dishes fresh with up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $100 on select laundry pairs. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/6. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks so you can make smarter decisions faster. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic, the delicious daily detox that will keep you feeling your best. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon or pick up some at your local CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
There were two major moments in last night's debate for Ralph Bailey, and they both involved the two Republicans because I had to try to make up my mind because I'm evenly split. I was surprised at how seemingly cordial they were with one another, but there's an underlying hatred, and there were a couple of moments that kind of sealed it for me. One was a tete-a-tete between Chad Bianco and Antonio Villaraigosa, who, by the way, despite the fact he's polling at 4%, there's still 24% of the state that is undecided. It would not be out of the realm of possibility. It would be like Golden Tempo coming back and winning, but it would not be out of the realm of possibility for somebody at 4, 5, 6% to come back and win this thing. Remember, 3 weeks ago, Javier Becerra was at 3%. And now most pundits think that he's going to be one of the two candidates. And now, according to a recent poll, there is a new fear that has emerged. And that fear is that both Republicans could be shut out. We were hoping that we could get both Republicans in. Now, a very recent poll, now this is pre-debate, the most important poll, well, the most important poll is June 2nd, but the most important poll, just to give us some sense of where we're headed going into June 2nd, is whatever poll comes first after last night. Because I think last night was pivotal. I think Javier Becerra showed that he's white bread. He's just bland. He's just got nothing. And the fact that I didn't know this, but the fact that this whole HHS controversy is popping up, that there's a consensus among Democrats. These aren't Republicans saying that he was a bad secretary. These are Democrats who are saying that he was a bad secretary. I think there's some cause for concern if you're a Becerra supporter. And the other issue is Steyer, and there are two different polls that have recently come out. There's a CBS poll that has Hilton on top, Steyer second at 15, Hilton at 16, Becerra at 13, Bianco at 10 in fourth, Katie Porter at 9, and everybody else at 4. Matt Mahan, who again I thought had a decent night last night, but he's kind of milquetoast as well. A San Jose mayor, very effective mayor in San Jose. And like I said, Antonio Villaraigosa, who I hate, but I can't lie, had a pretty good night last night. But here is one of the reasons that Chad Bianco has lost me. I think he's getting bad consulting. I really do. I know there are going to be some local folks, Angela Barton, the sheriff, our sheriff, not going to be happy with me. But I'm going with Hilton. I just think that the sheriff look doesn't work in statewide politics. And he continues to go with this kind of sheriff look. Go back and watch if you didn't watch the debate last night. He's wearing these double-pocketed breast shirts instead of like a straight business shirt, wearing these checkered sport coats with the sheriff badge on it instead of a blue sport coat or a pinstripe blue, a business. You're a governor. You're no longer Riverside County. You're representing Eureka to San Diego. You're the governor. You've got to think and act and look like a governor. You've got to wear a suit. I think you should wear a tie, but it's 21st century politics. Nobody was wearing a tie last night. I think Matt Mahan was the only one wearing a tie. But that sheriff look doesn't work. You're not going to win a lot of votes in the Bay Area, but you got to win some. You're not going to win a lot of votes in South LA and South Central and Southern California. That's really what I was trying to say, Southern California. But you got to win some. And if you're trying to come off as this Riverside cowboy sheriff, that ain't going to work. That's just not going to work. And I don't know who told him it would, but it's not statewide. In Riverside, I'm sure they eat it up like tapioca pudding. Meantime, Hilton is dressed more like a governor. The second thing, the Oath Keepers thing. Now, I don't know much about the Oath Keepers, but what I do know, I don't like. But it was his answer to both of not only his relationship with Hilton, but his association with the Oath Keepers. His answer, not necessarily how he feels about Steve Hilton, not even his association with the Oath Keepers. I think I can almost overlook that, but his answer was so, and again, I could just see Angela Barton's face and the sheriff's face staring at me, but it was amateurish. It really was. Which one do we have? Here's the sheriff.
Oath Keeper, we all know that. And I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. And guess what? You're going to swear an oath, and you swore an oath. You should know what you were swearing and be proud of defending it.
I don't think an oath keeper is qualified to be governor.
I don't think you know what an oath keeper is.
Just to follow up on what you were just saying there, and you said you're a proud oath keeper. Are you referring to the group?
I have sworn an oath 3 times to defend my Constitution.
An oath and
yes,
your
and
job.
Everybody that wants to, again, lie and emotionally get all spun up about the Oath Keeper organization, I just would, before you do that, and I know none of you have, I want you to go read the mission statement of the Oath Keeper mission statement. And
I saw them on CNN attacking the Capitol.
And the ACLU. I saw a politician molesting kids. Does that mean you molest kids? What? Exactly. Don't pull those stupid statements out and expect to not be called out.
You have no reason to.
There is absolutely
qualified to be governor of California.
I am extremely proud of swearing an oath to defend my Constitution against politicians like this.
And do you still consider yourself a member of that group, to be clear?
No.
That's where he lost me. I'm proud to be an Oath Keeper, but I'm no longer involved in them. Why? I'm proud to be a member of the NAACP. Probably doesn't make my audience happy, but I'll tell you that. I'm a member of the NAACP. I'm proud of that. I probably always will be till I die. Why, if you're so proud of being an Oath Keeper, sir, why are you not involved with them all of a sudden? Because you're running for governor? And you know that in San Francisco and Southern California, that's not going to fly? Or with people that look like Ralph Bailey, that ain't going to fly? No, you lost me. You lost me. And here's the other piece of audio that he absolutely lost me, where it's not so much his take, but his answer.
You've actually had some harsh words for your fellow Republican on the stage tonight. You've called him, quote, unethical and dishonest, and said that he is trying to, quote, manipulate Californians and, quote, swindled his way into the Republican.
Check out who they attribute the quote to.
You don't think Republican voters can trust Mr. Hilton?
I will tell you, I don't know where that came from. I wouldn't tell you in my entire life. I don't think I've used the word swindle. So I don't
Check
know
out
if
where it
it's
came from.
something or if you were
Listen
saying
carefully.
that if you were saying that.
It's a quote from you to the Atlantic.
No, I've never used the word swindle. Have Steve and I disagreed? Absolutely we have. Have we had our quite big disagreements and battles in this election because he's running his campaign, I'm running mine.
But you're denying that you said these quotes.
No, I'm saying that I don't know where that came from. I would never use the word swindled. But the context, yes, I have said that. It's unethical. That I'm the only person up here that their entire existence in their job revolves around honesty, integrity, and leadership. I'm the only one. Right now, lying can get me removed from my job.
Can I just clarify?
Unlike what they're saying.
With you, because this says it's from an interview with KBAK, where you said he's trying to figure out how he can manipulate Californians to put him in this position in a time when we know that California Democrats have failed and we are going to vote for a Republican governor, and he has swindled his way into the Republican side, even though he's not.
I probably did say that.
See that? He contradicted himself. He caught himself in an old lie. And they attributed that to KBAK. Quick timeout. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military fired on an Iranian oil tanker as President Trump sought to pressure Tehran into reaching a deal to end the war. The military said in a social media post that a fighter jet shot out the rudder of the tanker Wednesday in the Gulf of Oman as the vessel tried to breach the American blockade of Iran's ports. The attack occurred as Iran and the U.S. are officially in a ceasefire. Republicans are rapidly pursuing redistricting efforts across the South following a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that affects majority black congressional districts. Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, and South Carolina are all considering changes. Tennessee lawmakers have proposed a new House map that would divide Memphis, a majority black city. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 612 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Maybe this Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. A fatal wreck on South 8th Street. Bakersfield PD says that happened Tuesday evening about 5. They say the passenger in a black Chevy four-door was killed when the driver went into the median and hit a tree. The driver ended up in the hospital. The name of the person killed has not been released. If you've been following the story of former Del Oro High School band assistant Salvador Fabian, who admitted to a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old student, punishment will be finalized for him by the court June 8th. He agreed Tuesday to plead no contest and will likely serve 2 years in prison, have to register as a sex offender when he gets out, and cannot have any contact with the victim. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Gas costs more. Groceries cost more. And Sacramento keeps making decisions like Kern County doesn't exist. Andre Gonzalez isn't waiting around for someone else to fix it. Born and raised right here in Bakersfield, Andre Gonzalez has spent his career delivering for this community. He created a community land trust so working families can actually afford to own a home. He's fought to make sure Kern County gets its fair share from Sacramento to fix roads and build water infrastructure, not just the scraps LA and the Bay Area leave behind. Andre Gonzalez is backed by California's firefighters, classroom teachers, and he is the only candidate endorsed by the California Democratic Party. Join them. Vote for Andre Gonzalez for State Assembly on or before June 2nd. Ad paid for by California Credit Union League Political Action Committee, not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, Trump's continued optimism on the economy seems to be bearing fruit. We have a record stock market. We have gas prices looking to go down soon. And we've also got, of course, the fraud hunting going on as a result of J.D. Vance. We'll talk about that and much more coming up on Clay and Buck.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1.
Let me just expound because we ran out of time there at the very end. Let's make it clear that if Chad Bianco is one of the strongly going to support him for governor, but if it comes down to it, I'm going with Hilton. I'm going with Hilton. Contradicting your own self in a nationally televised debate. And Kathy was right. There is another debate coming up. NBC is doing a debate on Wednesday. And if you don't think that the other candidates, particularly those that are trailing but are still in the mix, Katie Porter at 9%, Matt Mahan at 4%, if you don't think they're going to pounce all over the fact this Oath Keeper nonsense has been brought up, or the fact that he got caught denying a direct quote that Caitlin Collins had to quote, and as I mentioned as we were going out, did you hear that they attributed that to KVAK? He said that locally when he was here, this thing about Hilton swindling. Other than that, they were very, very cordial with one another. They, in fact, at one point sat back and kind of laughed at the bickering that was going on among the Democrats. But that pretty much sealed my fate. And just, I don't think that a conservative cowboy can win in the state of California. And I think that was a bad consulting or bad advice that he received to play up that, you know, the big mustache, the big cowboy hat, the sheriff's star on his collar, as opposed to the American flag or the state of California like Hilton had. Or I just think, you know, you've got to win portions of moderately Democrat areas, and I don't think you're going to be able to do that. And he is an election denier as well. I'm not sure about Hilton. We're going to get him in studio pretty soon. And in fact, I'm not going to Los Angeles this weekend. It doesn't seem, I might change tonight, but I think I'm going to attend the debate this Saturday at 2:30, the Republican debate between the two, and maybe see if I can get a question in or two. But it's a scary time now because there is another poll that's come out that has Hilton and Becerra tied at 18%, Chad Bianco essentially in third at 14%, Tom Steyer at 12%, Katie Porter at 9%. The only thing consistent in that in the CBS poll is Katie Porter is in the single digits. Again, the other poll has Hilton leading at 16%, Steyer at 15%. So essentially it's a tie between Hilton and Steyer, with Becerra kind of hanging around and lingering. I don't think Becerra has a chance. I think it could be Steyer. And if it is Steyer, I think the Republicans have a chance in a general election. You know, they were talking about this again. I sat up and watched Abby Phillip late last night. They had a whole hour and a half of discussion on this race with our own Scott Jennings, who follows me at 6 o'clock, and Van Jones, who was a member of the Obama administration, and the woman I talked about, Sochi Hanahosi, she was part of the Biden administration, and I forget who the other Republican was. And their feeling was that there's just no star in this field and that this thing could go anywhere. Ballots are out, as you can see. This is my ballot right here. And 24%, a quarter of the state is still undecided. And how that breaks, no one knows and no one can predict. And it's going to be fascinating to see how this thing goes, where it goes. and who's going to emerge. Because my guess, if I had to put money down, I would say Hilton Steyer. I think there's still a remote chance that it's Hilton Bianco. I don't think Becerra has a chance. I think he somewhat stumbled last night. And I think Katie Porter is absolutely, she's broken her foot. She doesn't stumble. She broke her foot. She's out of the race. She can't run. In the meantime, situations with Epic Fury has changed. As we played for you yesterday, Marco Rubio stated that Epic Fury is over. And now the president came out today and said that Project Freedom is over, that we're no longer going to be escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz. And this gets back to what I've talked about, that who knows what's going on and who knows what's going to happen. Who knows who they're even dealing with? Who knows what the leadership is? Are they dealing with the IRGC? Are they dealing with the injured Ayatollah, the kid, the Ayatollah's son, who we haven't seen since the beginning of the bombings? You know what I predict? The bombing is over. The bombing is over. And the funniest thing about this, and it's going to be funny, not ha-ha, but funny, like interesting and fascinating to watch how the Trump administration squares this New Deal. Because to be perfectly blunt, this New Deal mirrors Obama's JCPOA agreement with the Iranians years ago. The only real difference is the number of years that the uranium has been put on moratorium. Obama had a 15-year moratorium on the uranium. The Trump proposal has 10 years. And the Trump proposal allows the freeing of assets, which is a really diplomatic way of saying, we're going to give you some money back, just like Obama. And if this thing ends with a deal that mirrors the guy that's cooking pancakes in Donald Trump's head, the Democrats are going to have a field day with this thing. And I don't see how else it ends, unless we are literally going to put feet on the soil of Iran and physically remove the uranium. I don't see how else we get this done without some sort of agreement. And you have to give the president some credit in terms of bringing these people to the table, because what has brought them to the table is about $400 million a day. Regardless of what you say, they're losing a ton of money each and every day. And China now is going to get involved, because we're meeting with China next week, and China is meeting with Iranian officials this weekend. Because the stat that is most misunderstood, and even Howard, who we're going to talk to in about 45 minutes, has misquoted this stat, that China gets 90% of its oil from Iran. No, China exports 90% of the Iranian oil. That's a lot different than they get 90% of their oil from Iran. You see what I'm saying? Everybody with me on this? In other words, of the 100% oil that goes out, 90% of that goes to China. You see what I'm saying? No, I did it again. No. Yes. Is that right? Yes. They get 90% of the oil that they send out, but that's not 90% of the oil that China gets. You see what I'm getting at? Because think about that. Just think of the logic of that. If Iran had the key to 90% of China's oil, China would be Iran's bitch. Excuse my language. But they would. They'd be like, dude, we're turning your lights out. You ain't getting 90% of your oil. Ain't coming. We ain't coming. And with this blockade, without 90% of their oil, they would be through. So just on logic, that stat doesn't make sense. But they do get a large chunk of that, and that's how Iran makes their money. And that's why they're missing out on what some are saying $13 billion a month. I don't give a damn how radical you are. I don't care what God you believe in. When you're leaving $13 billion a month on the table, that would cause you to even come to the table and lie like they will. Because as I talked about yesterday when alluding to Obama's deal, who believes that a deal is going to be solid? That they're just going to sign away their rights to their own uranium or enriching that uranium? Anybody believe that? I certainly don't. It'd be nice to end this thing. It'd be nice to get the strait open back up. It'd be nice for the president to be able to focus on America once again. But I don't buy it. I'm just not buying it. But, you know, it just goes to show how this thing is being done improperly. Because we just played you the audio yesterday of Marco Rubio talking about how Epic Fury is done and Project Freedom is up on its feet, and this is going to be wonderful, and we're going to escort ships out of the Strait of Hormuz, and we're going to show the Iranians that they can't control the strait. No strait can be controlled. Imagine if we allowed anybody to just control a strait and say, we're going to charge you to come through, boop, 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 boop. And then less than 24 hours later, the president comes out and says, it's over. There is no Project Freedom. It's done. It's all done based on how the president feels when he wakes up in the morning. Clearly. Because if this had been planned, do you really think 8 hours before Marco Rubio would have extolled the virtues of Project Freedom? Then the president 8 hours later turns around and says it doesn't exist any longer? You really don't believe this thing is being waged improperly? And to a certain degree, I get it. Most wars are at a certain degree. But there's got to be a mission statement. There's got to be an indication of what victory looks like. And now it's my fear that they're just going to pull out and claim victory and say that they signed some agreement that, you know, that and $1.25 will get you to Bakersfield, California. $1.25. I'm just saying, I am more confused and more concerned than I ever have been. Because I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what the plan is. I have no idea where this thing is going. They're insisting that a ceasefire exists while we're shooting at them and they're shooting at us. I'm just absolutely flummoxed. I really am. I have no clue. Let's go ahead and take a break, and we come back. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll discuss this more with Mr. Marcus, along with the ballroom. I want to talk about that with Mr. Marcus. Our free ballroom is now going to cost us $1 billion. Is Trump good or what? And when I say good, I say that in italics, if I had to write it, because that's one of the best bait and switch moves I've ever seen. I'm going to give you a free ballroom worth $400 billion. Oh, but wait, I forgot I'm the president, so it needs security. So I'm going to go to Congress and get $1 billion from the taxpayers for my free ballroom. He just doesn't give a damn. He just doesn't. Figures I'm out in 29. I'll do whatever the hell I want, say whatever the hell I want. If it screws the Republican Party, so be it. $1 billion for a ballroom of my money. Good googly moogly. Quick timeout. Coming right back. It's TRBS on a Wednesday. News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. And we're streaming live at currentradio.com.
Current Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will talk with local burrito delivery person, Dr. Corey Gonzalez. May, after all, is National Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to enjoy some new dirty sodas from some folks from McDonald's, and we will have state-of-the-art news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey man, how's business going these days?
Oh, not that good. I'm really struggling to find qualified employees for my business.
Oh, really? Have you tried reaching out to Employers Training Resource? They understand that having the right staff can significantly impact your company.
Really? How can they assist me?
Well, they promoted my jobs, held the recruitment, and pre-screened my job applicants, and they even set up the interviews, all at no cost. And they even offer financial hiring incentives like on-the-job training.
Wow, that sounds great. How do I get this?
Simple. All you have to do is call Employers Training Resource at 661-325-HIRE. That's 661-325-4473. Or visit their website at employerstrainingresource.com.
This Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Equal Opportunity Employer Program is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. For full federal funding disclosure details, visit employerstrainingresource.com/WDB/federal-funding-disclosure. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your business moves fast. Your bank should keep up. At Valley Strong Credit Union, business banking is built for momentum with tools that help you manage cash flow, streamline payments, and fuel growth. Right now, there's never been a better time to switch. Open a new Valley Strong business account and get 3 months of business banking products and services free, up to $750 in value to power your next big move. Because when your business runs stronger, the whole Valley does too. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your business, grow your future at valleystrong.com/business.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-21.
All right, now, way too loud on that one. Now I have the ex-lady, don't know exactly how to pronounce her name.
Sochi.
Yeah, and then Abby Phillips. I still haven't found Steve Hilton, though.
Okay.
RN.
So here's my ballot. And look at these are all of these on the front here. Those are all gubernatorial candidates. And that's all of them. So I'm going to cast my vote right here. Sorry, Sheriff. Sheriffs, I guess. I apologize to Mr. Bianco and to our very own. Where is, I don't see him on here.
I would assume he's towards the top.
No, it's not alphabetical. It's not. There's Steyer. There's Swalwell. Frederick Schultz.
Watch him be right smack dab in the middle.
There's Barack D. Obama Shaw. Betty Yee. Raji Bob. There's Steve Hilton. He's at the very end. Steve Hilton, small business owner. Boom. I'm in. Hope I don't regret that. I don't think I will. Lieutenant Governor. Who do I vote for Lieutenant Governor? Ebby Lynch is the first Republican. She's a business owner and nurse. Gloria Romero. Yeah, I'm going to go Gloria Romero. Gloria Romero, yeah. 20th District Congressional District. Who should I vote for, Chris?
What do we got?
I guess I ought to go with Fong.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, all right, we'll go with
Fong. If you have to, I mean.
Yeah, we'll go with Fong. We'll go with Fong. I mean, I could go with Sandra Van Scooter or Ben Duell, but yeah, I guess I'll go with Fong. Secretary of State, anybody but Shirley Weber. Anybody. In fact, I'm going to put in Chris Burdick. I swear to God.
Please do not.
You got one vote. You got one vote for Secretary of State. Because Weber's going to win.
Actually, you know what? I'll take a check.
The big fat black lady. She's going to win. So what difference does it make? I'm not going to vote for a Republican. I don't even know the Republicans on here. Member State Board of Equalization. Oh, look. Shannon Grove. Attorney General, anybody but Rob Bonta. Michael E. Gates. Treasurer, I could not possibly care less, but it certainly will not be Elena Konolakis, former Lieutenant Governor, Tony Vasquez, Glenn Turner, Green Party. Anna Caballero, and Jennifer Hawks. I'm going with retired businesswoman Jennifer Hawks. Oh, oh. You like that? Like that Shaq illusion? Insurance commissioner. I could not possibly care less. I'm going to go with Stacey Carsgarden, right at the bottom there. Is that all of my peoples? That's all of my peoples. That's all that, and I'll get to all this other stuff. David Couch, running unopposed. I can put that in there, so I can at least tell him the truth. By the way, he'll be our guest on Friday. We're going to talk about Measure A. State senator, I don't know anybody. Superintendent of schools, I couldn't care less. Those are my ballots. That's all I'm supposed to say. All right, that's enough of that. I alluded to the issues that Javier Becerra had in the administration. Here is Xochitl Hinojosa. She was a member of the Biden administration on Becerra's issues with the Democratic Party.
They realized that he was not an effective HHS secretary. And if you ask any cabinet secretary, they would tell you the same thing. And so I think that there is I think people recognize this, and I think this is why Tom Steyer has gone to the top.
This was huge. Van Jones looked like, you know what it looked like, Chris? It looked like Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. It looked like somebody was spilling the tea, because Van Jones was like, no, she didn't. He literally like grabbed his cup of coffee and was like trying to hide his face in his cup. Because there have been rumors about this, but nobody connected to the Biden administration has come out and flat out said that the dude sucked. Here's Abby Phillip, the host at CNN, kind of confirming what she just said.
This is not the first time that I've heard that, right? Yeah. So what Xochitl's talking about is a real thing. Yeah. And you kind of got a little bit of a sense of it on the stage tonight, where the attacks against Becerra were not about what he was or wasn't going to do in California. It was about his record in the Biden administration. It was about his character. It was about his leadership. And I do think that's going to be a problem. I'm not sure the Joe Biden adjacent brand is a good brand right now anywhere in this country. And I also think that the HHS situation, when you dig deeper into what he did in that role, that could be a problem for him.
Hilton's got to hammer this. He has got to hammer this. When his refrigerator light goes on, he's got to do 2 minutes on Javier Becerra in the Biden administration. He's got to quote, he should quote her. I've got quotes from members of the Biden administration that worked with you, Javier, who said that you sucked. Democrats, not Republicans. This is gargantuan, because I'm telling you, if there's a chance that there's going to be a Republican governor, it's got to be Steyer as the opponent, as the Democrat. They're saying that a Twinkie with a D next to his name can get elected in the state of California, which generally speaking is true. But you didn't find Hilton? No, damn, Hilton was the best one, because Hilton went on a rant basically saying, all these problems in California have nothing, regardless of what you think of Trump, the problems in the state of California, people leaving, high-speed rail, homelessness, the immigration problem, giving things away to people that aren't even supposed to be in this country, has got nothing to do with Donald Trump. And he said it brilliantly, much more brilliantly than I just said. And if he can hammer these guys on this, he can win, because Steyer's got no vision. Steyer's a billionaire who's got visions of grandeur. He's got no idea of politics. He's a business guy. He's not like Trump. That's what Trump has started, this idea into these billionaires that, hell, if Trump could do it, I could do it. No, don't you understand? Donald Trump is a star by himself. There will never be another Donald Trump. But these billionaires think they can pull this off, and Steyer can't. That's why we want Steyer on that ticket. If it's not Hilton Bianco, we want Hilton Steyer, because Becerra has the backing within the party that'll get him across the goal line, no matter how bad a candidate he is. You see what I'm saying? He was part of an administration. He was part of a cabinet. You don't think the bigwigs, you don't think Obama and all the bigwigs are going to come out and totally try to shove him across the line? But Steyer, an outsider, a billionaire who's pro-billionaire tax, this one-time billionaire tax, Not so much. Not so much. And the big money Democrats are going to run from him quietly. They're not going to say it out loud, but are they really going to look at each other and say, are we really going to elect the guy that's going to go after us? Us few billionaires in the state, they're going to come after us? It's all about money. That's why we want Steyer. I'm almost tempted to vote for Steyer because I think Hilton is almost assured, but there's still a lot of time left. And like I said, there's another debate that NBC is putting on, and there's a local debate among the two Republicans, Hilton and Bianco, although I'm guessing most of you have made up your mind by now. Maybe not. I hadn't until last night. Until the Oath Keeper answer, until the Hilton answer. I never said swindle. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did. I told that to KBAK, did I? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I got caught. And just the cowboy thing doesn't work in California. Maybe in Wyoming, maybe in Arizona, maybe even here in the Central Valley, certainly, but not statewide. You got to look like the governor. You got to take a page out of Ronald Reagan's book. Quick time out, edit into the 4. It's a Wednesday. Howard Marcus joins us next.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Recent high gas prices are hitting the lowest incomes the hardest.
A report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that lower-income Americans are still spending more on gas, even as they cut back on gas consumption. Higher-income households have barely reduced their consumption. Middle-income households fall in between. The gaps between how each group have reacted to higher gas prices is larger than in 2022, when a similar gas price shock occurred after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Back then, higher-income households cut back more, while poorer households likely benefited more from government stimulus programs. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Television pioneer Ted Turner, founder of CNN, has died at age 87.
CNN founder Ted Turner has died at 87, according to his company. The pioneer behind cable news transformed an obscure Atlanta television station into the first 24-hour all-news TV network. Turner was a philanthropist, owned sports teams, was a champion yacht racer, and had once been married to actor Jane Fonda, who had said this about him.
Funny and outrageous. I mean, second date, he's telling me that he's rewritten the Ten Commandments.
In later years, he was slowed by Lewy body dementia. President Trump called him one of the all-time greats. I'm Julie Walker.
The UN Health Agency says 2 patients with hantavirus and 1 suspected of infection were evacuated from a cruise ship at the center of a deadly outbreak. 2 of the patients arrived at Amsterdam's airport Wednesday evening and were driven off in ambulances. The ship departed from Cape Verde and headed to Spain's Canary Islands. On Wall Street, the Dow by 612 points. The Nasdaq rose 512. More at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Hi, my name's Neil. I have some advice for you if you've been trying to break free from credit card debt. You can start by doing what I did. Get your bills together and call Trinity Debt Management. Trinity is dedicated to helping people like me become debt-free. When I called, my first experience was a feeling of relief. My counselor was kind, and best of all, she didn't judge me. In just a few minutes, she helped me figure out a plan that consolidated all my bills into one lower monthly payment. This substantially reduced my high interest rates and put me on the road to success. In the end, I saved thousands in interest, and today my credit card debt is a thing of the past.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Neil. Take it from someone who's been there. Call Trinity and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Millions
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
A fatal crash in a South Bakersfield median. I'm Chris Davis. And Bakersfield PD says they are still looking into whether or not impairment was a factor. They say they do not believe that a woman who was driving was speeding. The wreck happened Tuesday about 5 p.m. on South 8th Street near Wilson Road. Police don't know why yet, but the black Chevy four-door went into the median and hit a tree. That crash killed the passenger and put the driver in the hospital. The name of the person killed has not been made public. Police are also still looking into what caused a wreck last night about 8:30 on Banducci Road. That was east of Sarita Avenue, says the Highway Patrol. They have not said how that wreck happened, but they say that a man was pinned inside a car. He got out of that with only minor injuries. The road had to be closed for a short time while it was cleaned up. You may remember the story about the part-time assistant band teacher at Del Oro High School who was accused of having sex with a 15-year-old student in the school parking lot and an ongoing sexual relationship. 27-year-old Salvador Fabian has now agreed to plead no contest to sex charges and will likely be sentenced to 2 years in prison and have to register as a sex offender when he gets out and cannot have any contact with the victim. Sentencing is set for June 8th. You should be aware that Truxton Avenue downtown will be temporarily closed tomorrow for a few hours because of the National Day of Prayer observance. That'll be happening from about 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that'll be the stretch from Chester Avenue to L Street. The city is advising you to plan ahead for a different route if you drive that way. A loaded BB gun brought into the Reading cinemas at Valley Plaza Tuesday. 50-year-old Ryan Brewer was arrested, say police. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest well in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 6th day of May. I am not a happy man right now. Not a happy man.
Why? What happened?
And I've got 2 suspects.
Why? Who's missing? Who?
Her head. Mary Bethune's head is missing.
It's down there somewhere.
No. I've looked. I've searched. I found Reggie Smith's head. Reggie Smith's head's down there. Well, the greatest black educator of the 20th century's head is missing. And I'm stealing something from JR and I'm stealing something from Cox until her head is returned. I'm holding something hostage from both of them, the only suspects in this caper, until her head is returned. Leaving this poor woman unheaded. What's the matter with you?
I'll be honest, how it's become that way.
Well, you know, the same way we disarmed Jackie Robinson. I dropped. It is a Wednesday. Rooms to let 50 cents. No phone, no pool, no pets. Ain't got no cigarettes. 2 hours of pushing broom bars. 8 by 12 4-bedroom mama. Man of means by no means. King of the road. You know, that's something that Frank couldn't do, that Dean could do. Hit that high note. And he didn't do it very often, but every now and then go, King of the road. And he'd go way high. Frank could never go that high.
I like his version of King of the Road better. So.
I do too. Than Roger Miller?
Roger Miller, right?
Roger Miller, yeah. Yeah, I do too. I absolutely do. I absolutely agree. What's going on? How's your health?
And all of a sudden, I know where my asthma kicked back in. So, you know, yeah, it's going to be something. It's always something.
Yeah, at our age, it is always something. It really is. It truly.
Now we spend more time talking about doctors and medicine than we used to talk about girls and cars or whatever.
Yeah, no kidding.
Doesn't come up that often anymore. Not bad. Doing okay.
Yeah, okay, good. What's your take? Epic Fury, apparently, according to Marco Rubio, is over. Project Freedom was ended this morning by the president. Howard, where are we going?
Well, the hard part, and pardon me, I got a cough because it's stupid. I wish I had a cough button up here. Part of it is it's a very fluid situation because we're dealing with a erratic regime that we're not, as Trump has stated, we're not sure who we're dealing with because there's an internal power struggle between the actual mullahs who were in control and the IRGC, which is the people, for the people listening, is the military version, which apparently seems to be ascended at the moment, and also individually rogue commanders even. And so it's very hard to negotiate when you're not sure if the person you're talking to is going to be able to speak on behalf of the country as a whole. And so I'm just sort of sitting back and waiting because it's going to change day to day. And we have to have concrete guarantees. They're talking about they finally said they're going to put a cap on the nuclear program. And I want to say, okay, what does that mean? Do we actually have U.S. inspectors going in there? Is the Nuclear Regulatory Commission going to come in there and oversee the removal of the nuclear? You know what I'm saying? There's a whole list of questions to be answered. Them just saying, hey, we're not going to do it, that's not good enough.
No. And don't you see some unbelievable comparisons to Obama's joint comprehensive plan of action?
Well, yeah, the difference is we're not going to give them pallets full of cash. And we're actually, we've already tripled the regime as far as any ability to do anything demonstrative in the area. They're still sending out air missiles here and there. But the reality of it is that we have essentially crippled the country. And I personally would not have stopped the bombing until it was unconditional surrender. Either everybody who is capable of lifting a gun or shooting a missile is dead. And for a variety of reasons, domestic pressure is increasing, I think wrongly so, because we have an attention span of a 5-year-old. And, 2 months in, after 19 years in Afghanistan, we're already saying it's a quagmire, which it isn't.
Yeah, I played that audio of that senator. He should be absolutely ashamed of himself.
He should be, because you're undermining the mission of the troops, the morale, and you're giving aid and comfort to Iran, because you're telling them essentially, oh, just wait them out.
Yep, exactly. That's one of the few times on this show you'll hear me support Pete Hegseth, who read that guy the Riot Act when he said that, basically saying exactly what you said, that you're just tearing out the hearts of our troops by undercutting what we're trying to do 8 weeks in. 8 weeks in.
Which is nothing in modern warfare. It really is. So the reality of it is, I think you're going to see and conflicting agendas and headlines, and almost on a daily basis, because until a deal is finally struck and we have a way of holding their feet to the fire, I think you're going to see potentially up and down, contradictive terms, and just take it as it is, because it's going to be that way until a deal is finally set in concrete with assurances, ironclad assurances, that our essential goal, which is always the essential goal, which is a non-nuclear Iran, is in place. Everything else is secondary. I did discussed the funding of the proxies, the Houthis, the Hezbollah and Hamas wasn't even mentioned. So I'm kind of curious to see that. They mentioned the Straits of Hormuz being open. They mentioned the nuclear program, and that's all I heard. So I'm kind of curious to see what the devil's going to be in the details. And I think we're just going to have to wait and see. It's very early, and we always have the option, as was threatened, supposedly a bombing campaign that was stated was going to exceed what we've already done, which was an enormous bombing campaign. I think that's just a threat at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. It's really a wait and see situation, because the Iranians are perfectly capable, going back on their word. They've done that for 40 years. Their whole tactic for literally 40 plus years is to stall, to talk, while they build up a military that was, even by the standards of the area, 8,000 to 10,000 missiles, unbelievable amounts of ballistic missiles that were in place. We were lucky they didn't fire them all off at once. And we're lucky we did jump them in such a way that they weren't capable of doing so once the initial campaign started.
Yeah.
So, we've been very lucky, really have been, that it was as effective as it was in a short time frame. Because just imagine if they did have those 11 nukes online with the ballistic missiles that we now know had a 2,500 mile range, and one hit London, one hit Paris, because they were capable of taking anybody out, and they've shown that. You know, their whole idea was to destabilize the whole area and hope that for some reason that we would back off.
Did we lose him? Howard? I think we lost him.
I'm still here.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
The joys of living on a mountain. This is a landmine, so
Yeah.
no, we're just going to wait. Honestly, the answer is wait and see.
Okay.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I almost hope that they go back on their word so we can really finish the job. You notice Israel is not letting Hezbollah's the ceasefire stop them from dismantling the structure of the Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon, because, by the way, the ceasefire with Israel was with the Lebanese government, not with Hezbollah specifically.
Right.
And just to call that into play is something that's an associated subject. They're essentially going to depopulate the entire Shia population south of the Litani River. That's essentially what they're doing. If you see the footage, there'll be a Christian village in the same shot as a Shia village, and the Shia village has been demolished. And they have figured out finally they have to displace the southern population completely because that's where Hezbollah's strength was. And they were so embedded within the civilian population with active support that that's what they're doing still, even as we speak.
So how does this thing end, in your opinion?
The overall situation?
Yeah.
Well, I think Iran is going to have to give up their nuclear ambitions. Their hope is to hold on to everything else. The Straits of Hormuz will be reopened because they'll have no choice. And I think that's basically the best we're going to get. As far as the funding the proxies and all that, it's going to be very difficult for us to stop the funding they've been doing, either through the what they call the dark web or through the online non-cash basis of transfers that we've sort of caught them at. I think that's going to remain in place, and which means we're going to have to go in, assuming that they're told to do so. We might have to go in after the Houthis if they don't cooperate. I think Israel's going to essentially have a ceasefire with the Lebanese government, and there's going to be a difficult situation there because the Lebanese army does not have the means or the wherewithal to displace or disarm Hezbollah. So I'm not sure what's going to happen on that front. I think Israel's basically, as I said, going to essentially make a Hezbollah Shia-free zone in southern Lebanon. And what the interesting thing is, if you've seen the footage, the Lebanese newscasters and government on their open TV are denouncing Hezbollah, which is an enormous change.
Oh, yeah, because they're under fire. They want them the hell out of there.
That's exactly what they're saying. You've caused ruin to our country, and they're openly calling for them to be gone.
Yeah.
So we don't know. But, you know, the one thing that's constant in the Middle East is change.
Yeah,
Day to
that's
almost
true.
day to day.
Did you see last night's debate at all?
I saw portions of it.
Yeah.
You know, Katie Porter, talk about putting your foot in your mouth.
Oh, my
about
God.
Legal immigration stabilizing our population.
Yeah, that was classic. And Bianco had a nice backhand to that. Or was it Hilton? One of the two of them came back.
I think it was Bianco.
I think it was Bianco who slapped her down and said, no, it was Hilton. It was Hilton who said, you know, there you go, showing that's how Democrats want to take us forward with folks that aren't even supposed to be here. And he's saying, I think it ought to be about small businesses and encouraging them, not illegal aliens. And I thought that was brilliant. Yeah,
It was brilliant.
she absolutely, there was nobody that emerged that, okay, now I'm going to be the front runner. But certainly Katie Porter said, I'm out. I'm out.
She's done. She's done.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was thinking about that, and if you think about the last couple of elections we've had, from Hillary Clinton, Camilla, obviously now Hillary, you know, Katie Porter, we tend not to like to vote in people that are dislikable themselves.
Yes.
In other words, if you're not a nice person, your chances of being elected are fairly slim. No one liked Hillary, including her own party. No one likes Katie Porter. I think her chance of being elected are slim and none before any of these debates. And also, to be perfectly sexist about it, we don't try not to elect ugly people. And she certainly has been hit around the head and shoulders with the ugly stick. And the reality of it is we want them photogenic. That goes all the way back to the debate with John Kennedy and Nixon.
Yeah.
People that listened on the radio thought Nixon won. People that saw it thought Kennedy won. And that's been a 50-year, 60-year plus. That's the media age now.
I've always said that, particularly when it comes to weight. I don't know about looks so much.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, fat people.
But here's my thesis on that, because I think you're right on a certain level. But I think it's the 21st century woman. I don't think that they have the security that 20th century women had. The Shirley Chisholms of the world, the Margaret Thatchers of the world is the very first one that comes to mind, where you can be tough, but you can still be feminine and affable and likable. And none of these women have figured that out. Kristi Noem couldn't figure it out. Kristi Noem thought that it was a good idea to write in a book that she shot her puppy. And why did she do that, in my opinion? Because she had to show that she was strong, that she could make the tough decisions, that the 21st century woman perceives that America doesn't think they can make. And they come off as hard and tough. And instead of using their feminine guile as charming and affable, they feel like they got to be tough. And that it comes off as unlikable.
It does. I lost my mind when I read that about the dogs. And look, that's very common in rural areas. I have friends that are hunters. It's extremely calm. And the old saying, that dog won't hunt. What will happen is most hunters, right on the spot, will put the dog down.
Right.
And I had a friend who was going to do that. I said, look, you neuter the dog, so you breed that out of the bloodline, and you give it away as a pet. You do not kill the dog because it won't do what you want to do.
Right.
Not like it's a vicious animal. It is not set up for hunting. I had a friend who had he got I think it was a red tick coonhound for free because it was incredibly gun shy. And luckily, the person who had it did that, neutered it, and it made it a pet for my buddy. And the reality was, it was a wonderful dog. You just couldn't hunt with it. But the fact that she did that shows the utter stupidity, thinking that people are going to approve of that outside rural areas.
Yeah.
The rural area, people get that. It doesn't mean it's a nice thing, but it's very common. I wish it wasn't. And the reality of it is, you're right. In order to prove that they are somehow equal to men, rather than being just assertive and strong and tough, they have to be vicious and nasty.
Nasty. Yeah.
And that's just it. Katie Porter is a nasty person.
She really is. And she
really
can't and she can't even hide it. That's what's so amazing.
Oh, well, that's how nasty she is.
Mhm.
You know, well, look at Hillary. Not a likable person. There's a reason she got beat.
Couldn't hide it.
You have these candidates that you can't hide who they are. Their core being comes out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future until they figure it out. But the reality of it is that debate sealed her fate, if nothing else. I think it's going to be Hilton or Bianco, hopefully both. I think probably, I don't want to call it at this point. We don't know.
Do you know who you're going to vote for?
I'm voting for Hilton.
Yeah, I am too.
You know, it's just the way it is. But
Why
the reality
so?
of it is,
Why
if
so?
the Democrats clear their field, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of, they've got a bigger percentage of Democrat votes going to whatever single candidate they eventually get it down to, plus the undecided vote. We don't know how it's going to go.
24%. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, huge amount.
That's a huge amount.
Which is insane when you realize the state that our government here is in. It should be a no-brainer not to vote for a Democrat.
It absolutely should. It absolutely should.
It should be. Well, if you look at the ad that was put out regarding the mayor's race for California by, I can't think of his name, my mind went blank, the reality star, that should be an ad for every Republican.
Oh, Spencer Pratt.
Yes, Spencer Pratt. I knew it was, eventually we got his name about an hour from now. But if you look at that, that should be a campaign for every Republican. This is what's happened to your state.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you vote any Democratic, you're going to get more of the same, if not worse.
Yeah.
Because Steyer, it makes Newsom look like a John Bircher.
Yeah.
His statements last night about the single payer health plan and this idiocy. It's like, we have a potential deficit in California that is humongous. They've been playing games with numbers. We can't. The last thing we want to do is expand our entitlement programs.
Yeah. And Becerra got caught in a lie. Becerra is on record telling the California Medical Association, a nurses union, that he would not support single payer.
Right.
And the one positive Katie Porter did do last night, didn't help her, but it helped the other leading candidates, was out him on that and say, why don't you just say yes or no? And literally, he would not say yes or no. And even Caitlin Collins got involved and say, will you say yes or no? And he wouldn't. He just wouldn't.
Yeah, that's not the time to equivocate on live TV.
Exactly.
Well, Steyer got caught that way on the gas tax. Would you suspend it or not?
Yeah.
Where the moderator called him out.
Yep, absolutely.
I think what she said was, that's a long way to say no.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
What she said.
Yeah,
It's hilarious,
exactly.
by the way. But, again, it should be clear cut. If you live in California, if you're cool with $6 or even $7 a gallon gas, if you're good with crime and homelessness, if you're great with wildfires everywhere, illegals flooding your state, 400,000 in the last 3 years. If you're happy with that, okay, fine, vote Democrat, but be prepared to live with the consequences.
That's why I think a Republican, be it Bianca or Hilton, can beat Tom Steyer.
I hope so.
I really do. I'm not so sure about Becerra, even though he's a worse candidate.
Right.
But he'll have huge Democratic push. The leadership,
in San Francisco.
yeah, the leadership will get behind him. But if you can talk about high-speed rail, gas tax, taxes, the homeless, I think a Republican can win.
They need somebody to just run those ads nonstop.
Absolutely. Yeah. Say hello to Mary. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
You too.
All right, man. All right, we'll see you. Howard Marcus. Actually, I'm not here next Thursday. Is it next Thursday?
Where you going?
It is
Wednesday,
next.
by the way.
Oh, it's Wednesday. Yeah. I'm not here next Thursday.
Where you going? Oh, that's right. You're getting it removed that day.
The unicorn goes away next Thursday.
Oh, acorn could work too.
I guess it's bigger than an acorn, actually.
Kind of shaped like one.
I'm getting this bump on my head removed next Thursday. But yeah, it's Wednesday. What am I talking about? Quick timeout. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. Stan Moe is here. It's that time again. The annual Pile Boys Camp Barbecue out there by Kern River Golf Course. We'll talk to Stan at the bottom of the hour. Then the folks from BC and Camp K are going to join us at 5. They've got a food program going on. It's keeping the kids out of BC going. We'll talk about that. And we'll wrap up the show with a sad note. Maybe not for you all, but I thought this man was one of the greatest communication magnets we've ever seen in life. Ted Turner passed away at the age of 87. I'll tell you about my time at CNN. The one time that I met Ted Turner, kind of sort of, I was in the same room with him. But he was a unique cat. He really was. He was constantly around CNN. And I've worked places where bosses don't come in contact with their employees, nor do they want to. But Ted Turner was a guy, man, the day that I met Ted Turner, I saw him in an editing bay talking to a reporter. It's the kind of guy he was. We'll talk about that in the history of CNN coming up at the 5. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, and we're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio.
Say what?
News Talk 96.1.
I don't know.
and
Should I
AM
go with
1230.
Thursday? Should I get terms?
KERN. Coming up on the Thursday edition
No, I
of
was
the
gonna
Clay
go
Travis
with,
and Buck
it's
Sexton
just generic.
Show.
I was gonna
Trump's
go with,
continued
Teresa.
optimism on the economy seems to be bearing fruit. We have a record stock market. We have gas prices looking
he's
to
good.
go down soon. And we've also got, of course, the fraud hunting going on
Did
as
you
a
go
result
to-
of JD Vance. We'll talk about that
you go
and
to
much more coming up on Clay and Buck.
News Talk 96.1
you didn't go to
and
KC
AM
last night?
1230. KERN.
Every Thursday at 4:30, Daniel Petrie lightens up the broadcast with his
grab this
incredible
phone for me.
wit,
I can't even. it's
pure
right here.
intelligence, political knowledge, and obviously an absolute master
You see
of
it?
economics. That's why he's such an important cog on this broadcast. And you can hear him even on some of his off days when there are financial movements that we can't explain. We lean
You're
on
right,
our man
right.
from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
You're right.
And of course, you know what they're all about. They're all about retirement. I've turned at least 3 or 4 different people on to Messmaker.
Oh,
Petrie
did you
Wealth
take Mary's
Advisors,
head? Where's
and
Mary's
they
head?
could not be
What do y'all
happier.
stole Mary's
You
head?
could be happy as well with your situation
No.
in terms of the fourth quarter in your
I'm
life.
telling you,
call
it's not down here.
395-9400.
I think Scott took it.
395-9400. The offices of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment
you're
advice
right,
or a
Giselle.
solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker.
Well, Mary Bethune is gone.
As a client and receives compensation and
Cox.
other financial benefits in connection
I'm
with this
gonna steal his-
advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other
I
clients.
put it.
Paul
I
Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland
I
Rodriguez.
put it on this
Hello,
badge.
this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is
They
my
like,
great
"Ooh, let me
pleasure and
set
privilege
this
to relate
aside."
to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends.
'Cause I sat
regarding
it on the
office's expert
sledge.
navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary
don't.
health challenges, his long-standing, the
Poor
most
Mary.
experienced and expertly
Headless
trained
Mary.
team of ladies, Christine,
That
Kelly,
ain't right.
and Lynn, continue
it's
to
Scott.
masterfully
It'd be
guide
funny.
clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You
there.
most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team
No, I put it on the ledge.
398-2298.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here,
And then
host of the
and I
First Look with
dropped it.
Scott
Yeah,
Cox
dropped
radio
the head.
program.
So it
You are
doesn't
listening to the
fit
Ralph
perfectly.
Bailey Show right here on
Shipped
Newstalk
out the
96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You got to put the hair on the.
Hey, 425-376-842 KERN. All right, so we eliminated one suspect. It's Cox. Cox. It's Cox.
Probably down there somewhere.
I'm telling you, it's Cox. He stole Mary's head. I'm going to steal that Atlanta Russ milk thing, keep it hostage until he returns Mary's head.
I'm pretty sure he would actually enjoy you taking that.
What else? Is there anything else in here?
I mean, unless you want to lug out that big old safe in the corner. That's the one thing that's going to be the one that hurts him.
Where is the safe?
Find you.
Oh, he moved it?
Been back there.
I bet it's in there. I bet Mary's in the safe.
I'll check in the morning.
You have the combo?
Oh, I don't, but I can check when I'm here in the morning when I do my show and he's doing his. Just walk in and check down there. He can stop me.
I know he's got it. I know he's got it. Quick time out. The Piles Boys Camp Barbecue is coming, and that means Stan Mode joins us right after these important words.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The FBI has searched the Virginia State Senate leader's hometown office and her neighboring cannabis shop. Wednesday's action brings into public view what was described as a years-long corruption investigation. The searches at Democratic Senator L. Louise Lucas's office and cannabis business are part of what two people familiar with the matter call a corruption inquiry. The U.S. military fired on an Iranian oil tanker as President Trump sought to pressure Tehran into reaching a deal to end the war. The military said in a social media post that a fighter jet shot out the rudder of the tanker Wednesday in the Gulf of Oman as the vessel tried to breach the American blockade of Iran's ports. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 612 points, the S&P up by 105. This is SRN News.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. Punishment for former Del Oro High School band assistant Salvador Fabian has been agreed upon. He pleaded no contest Tuesday to having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old student, with one act even happening in the school parking lot. He will be sentenced June 8th, and the agreement says he'll serve 2 years and register as a sex offender when he gets out. The name of a person killed in a crash Tuesday afternoon on South 8th Street has not yet been made public. Police say the person was the passenger in a car that hit a tree in the median. If you drive Truxton Avenue downtown, you should be aware that Truxton from Chester to L will be closed from 10:30 to 1 tomorrow for the National Day of Prayer observance. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis.
Serious allergic reactions and increased
How are
risk
you,
of
sir?
infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment,
good,
your doctor
pretty
should check you
good.
for infections and
Trying to
tuberculosis.
stay
Tell your
healthy.
doctor if you have an infection,
Try
flu-like
to walk
symptoms, or if you
bottom
need a
top of the
vaccine.
hour. Try to get some steps in.
Imagine being a million miles away.
Yeah, do well.
Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Trimfaya. Visit trimfaya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will talk with local burrito delivery person, Dr. Corey Gonzalez. May, after all, is National Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to enjoy some new dirty sodas from some folks from McDonald's, and we will have state-of-the-art news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The
Yeah, we got
JR
both
Show,
in.
starting at 1 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph
Here we go.
Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
It's that time of year again. Time for the Piles Boys Camp Barbecue out by Kern River, the Kern River Golf Course. And of course, our good friend Stan Moe joins us once a year to tell us all about it. How are you, Stan?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah?
We're getting ready, and it's supposed to be warm at least, but not
That's all
overly
right.
warm.
Yeah,
so
that's
it should be
okay.
a good day.
Yeah, we got out of the 3 digits because it was
Yeah.
looking like 3 digits and it came back down to the 90s,
Yes.
which is all the difference in the world.
Oh, without a doubt, back there.
Tell us about, as we always do this time of year, tell us about the Piles Boys Camp.
It's a camp that's started back in 1949. We've I don't know how many boys we've had actually go through it in that amount of time, but it's set up to give boys an opportunity to go and learn a little bit about life, but more importantly, have fun in the mountains and learn some responsibility, so they can bring it back. Just a lot of them need a little guidance and have fun at the same time.
In my opinion, at no time is this more needed than right now. Get these kids off their phones, off social media, off the internet. Get them out in the open air. Get them out chopping wood, fetching water, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's all about. I mean, there's a routine they go through, but I mean, if they go away from the dinner table, they're hungry. It's their fault because there's food's all over. And then one of the big things for the families, it costs them absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that we can get, anybody that has needs some help with some guidance and ideas like that, but at the same time have fun.
Yeah.
And I share your point of view is the fact that a lot of them change their mind when they find out they can't take their electronic devices.
That is incredible.
I mean,
isn't that says it all right there? What I want to go? What I can take my phone? I'm not going.
Well, in most of the places up there, there's no service, but so
yeah. Well, as you know, I was going to get my nephew involved.
Yes.
He was having some troubles, and I thought this would be the perfect fix for him. Instead, we sent him to Harriet Bailey's boys camp, and she straightened him out. He went from not caring to he's now on the honor roll at a music school out in Pasadena, and he's doing really well. But I truly considered sending him to the camp because I've heard nothing but great things. I have 2 friends who sent their boys.
I got involved with a camp in 1981. One of my assignments at the sheriff's office was to kind of help gather up the names of some of our deputies with seeing kids on the street. And after watching the first year, I sent my number 1 son, who's now 55 or 6, whatever it is. and we have a relationship that we might not have.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for lessons that were learned, but more importantly, come back just raving about how much fun he had. And he turned out to be likes horses and was a cowboy, was a bull rider for a while.
Wow.
And then his son, my oldest grandson's been there. My youngest grandson's been there. And they all come back and just talk about how much fun it was.
Yeah.
And at the same token, they learned a few life lessons that
absolutely
they can apply when they get back here. And I just, I don't know how to explain it to some people that they just, it's, yeah, there's a little bit of work involved, but it's more fun than it is anything else.
Yeah.
We do this, every night we have a campfire. But kind of the highlight of the trip is is a 4 night or 5-day, 4-night backpacking trip back into the wilderness area around where our camp is, and it's just them and their group, and they get involved with whatever, see some of the prettiest country in the world in the Golden Trout Wilderness, and a lot of that area up where we're located. We're up above Johnsondale, and it's just a time for them to get away and just relax, have fun, don't have to worry about anything else.
Absolutely.
And get a chance to meet some new people.
Yeah. Stan Moe is our guest. We're talking about the Piles Boys Camp barbecue coming up this Saturday. Tell us about Mr. Pyle.
Mr. Piles was an oil man back in the 40s, and he had come to California with his family when he was real young, and his mother had taken him to Randsburg. But he left there when he was a teenager, went to work in the oil industry. Well, in 1948, he was getting ready to retire, and he was an avid outdoorsman, loved to hunt, fish, ride horses, and things like that. In fact, where our camp, the place we lease right now from the Forest Service, that's roughly where him and his buddies used to go. Well, one night he was getting ready to retire, and some of his buddies asked what he want for a legacy, and he takes the time to go away from the campfire where they were sitting, comes back and lays out this plan. And we still operate off of a kind of a slogan he come up with is, daring boys to become men.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to learn the tools, techniques, whatever you need to be successful in life. And then we take it to the next point. We teach them at camp, goes from there. His idea was, hey, bring them up there, let them have fun. But before that time, they got to do some work, just like real life. You go to work, and then you get to go on vacation, do whatever you want. That was the foundation that he wanted to leave and give them an opportunity to be successful and try to do the best he could. And if you stop and think about it, there's a lot of parallels between where we're at now and when back then, because a lot of those boys didn't have a dad because they didn't come home from World War II.
World War II, yeah.
And we see a lot of those single parent families now.
Yeah.
And we're here to give them an opportunity to be successful. And so, I'm not going to tell them it's, you're going to be away for 12 days, but you get to have a heck of a lot of fun and meet new people.
Yeah. I'm driving around and listening to the Ralph Bailey Show, listening to Stan Moe on the Ralph Bailey Show, and I've got a son who's having some issues. How do I get involved?
Well, for one, probably the easiest time now might be is come out to the barbecue and just, we can find somebody there who'll help you do the sign up if you want, or give you a little bit more information.
Yeah.
Or if you're listening to the radio, there's a phone number on there. Call that one. That happens to be mine, and I can help you in this area and identify that.
Okay.
But again, we start in June, and it'll go we have 3 sessions now, and 90 boys a session.
90 boys?
Yes.
Wow, that's a nice group.
And so that's what we hope for, is we want to fill the camp.
Yeah.
And we're always looking for additional ones. And most of the places we've found that schools and other places are willing to be accommodating for those boys that are athletes and have football or baseball or whatever during the summer months too. They'll make some allowances and let them go and enjoy everything at the same time.
Yeah. This is very important. It really, really is.
Well, I just can't, it's a chance for parents also to kind of recover, step back, think about, okay, how things operating. But more importantly, it's time to give the boys to learn these life lessons, but at the same time, have fun.
Yeah.
And meet new people and things like that. And ultimately, then they can come back a second, third, fourth year. And in those is set up to where they can work at the camp. What we do is we give them basically a scholarship from a junior college down south, and comes up, and we got other programs.
Nice.
And it leads to a job for the summer.
Yeah. And I think, as most parents will attest, teenagers, that's a tough time for parents. And oftentimes you can say something to your child and it goes right over their head. And then I come in as part of either their basketball team or the Piles Boys Camp or whatever they're involved in, and I say the same thing that you said, and they hear it. and they react to it because it was just dad. And they just kind of, well, dad is dad. But my mentor, the guy my basketball coach or my guy at the camp, I understand what he's trying to say. And so it's good for the kids to get away from the parents to get away from the kids, and to let them find their own mentor who they'll listen to.
And that's, without a doubt, that's true. And like I say, you get to meet new people, you get to understand some other ways that leads to additional things back in the city when you get back, as far as the area. And we've had numerous boys that have come back, and like I say, most of our staff is former campers.
Yeah. It's kind of a form of good cop, bad cop, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit. Just
a little bit, yeah.
Speaking of the devil, let's end on this. Tell the folks about your distinguished career. Tell us about Stan Moe.
Well, I spent 3 years in the Army, and then when I came back here, I went to work for the sheriff's office and spent 32 years. Retired in 2002.
32 years.
And as a commander in charge of our volunteer services when I left. Had a great career, a lot of fun.
You were out there on the river too.
Well, the last 10 years that I was involved with the volunteer services unit, which was our search and rescue units and things like that. And they're all the time.
And those guys are all volunteer, are they not?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Well, we have a sergeant and myself at that time. I'm not sure how that's structured now, but I know it's changed a little bit. But it was a lot of fun. And sometimes you can get those volunteers would put in a lot more hours and a lot more work than some of the people we were paying sometimes. But it was fun, and I enjoyed my career. But and it must have rubbed off because my youngest son retired from the Bakersfield Police Department last January.
Nice.
My son-in-law, about 6 months before that, retired from the probation department. So we had criminal justice kind of covered in my family.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You know, why don't they tell kids that, if you become a cop, you put in some time, you go retire at like 50, 55. If they had told me that, I might have thought about it. But I'm a coward, so I couldn't have fit the bill.
Well, there's a lot of things, that make the job fun. But it's like any other job. You get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
And I personally think that's the issue that employers run the problem with.
Absolutely.
It's tough sometimes to make employees understand that, you can make it good, bad, or indifferent. It's whatever you put in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
tell them where it's going to be, where we're going Saturday.
Well, hopefully you're there. We start at noon with the barbecue for Piles Boys Camp. It's one of our big fundraisers for the year. It's out at the park is actually named for us. I helped do that a while back. Doesn't belong to us, belongs to the county, but it's next to Lake Ming and also the Kern River Golf Course. You'll see the signs as you come out that way, and it's still all about having a good time and bringing people out there. And at the same token, you can win an awful lot of prizes. We have a lady that loves to go shopping for us. We give her a budget, and she brings back, you name it, and she brings it back somehow.
You normally have a gigantic TV you give away. You do that again?
That's the last final thing.
Big 65-inch TV.
Whatever she can get for what the budget is. But it's, so it's a fun time. Plus, good food. I mean, the guys that we have cooking back there are just outstanding, and they have a good time. Most of the people that are working there for us are the kids from the camp.
That's outstanding.
As well as some other volunteers and something like that. So it's just a good family fun time.
I know it keeps you going as well.
Oh yeah, I've done an awful lot of things in my life, but this is one of the fun things I have. And like I said, I got to be moving around, and I turn 80 years old this month, and so it's one of those things that it's all about keeping going.
Keep it up, Stan. You're looking great. You don't look a day over 50, man. You look great. Appreciate you coming in. Appreciate what you do for our children. I really do. It's outstanding.
I appreciate it. All the people at camp, I want to certainly say that, they appreciate what we get up from the public and people like you that are willing to help us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Stan Moe, everybody. Quick time out. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to talk with folks from Cap K at Bakersfield College. Talk about the food program they've got going on at the campus. All that's coming up on the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com. Sweet. Thank you, Stan. That was great. That was really good. No problem.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, Trump's continued optimism on the economy seems to be bearing fruit. We have a record stock market. We have gas prices looking to go down soon. And we've also got, of course, the fraud hunting going on as a result of J.D. Vance. We'll talk about that and much more coming up on Clay and Buck.
Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey man, how's business going these days?
Oh, not that good. I'm really struggling to find qualified employees for my business.
Oh really? Have you tried reaching out to Employers Training Resource? They understand that having the right staff can significantly impact your company.
Really? How can they assist me?
Well, they promoted my jobs, held a recruitment, and pre-screened my job applicants, and they even set up the interviews, all at no cost. And they even offer financial hiring incentives like on-the-job training.
Wow, that sounds great. How do I get this?
Simple. All you have to do is call Employers Training Resource at 661-325-HIRE. That's 661-325-4473. Or visit their website at employerstrainingresource.com.
This Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Equal Opportunity Employer Program is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. For full federal funding disclosure details, visit employerstrainingresource.com/WB/federal-funding-disclosure. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-9069. 800-525-9069. 800-525-9069.
Experience the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra in Epic Scores, the music of John Williams. Saturday, May 9th at Dignity Health Theater. Feel the thrill of adventure with music from Star Wars, the wonder of Harry Potter, the suspense of Jaws, and the sweeping power of Jurassic Park. From heroic themes to unforgettable cinematic moments, this is music that defined generations. Performed live in concert. Join us for an epic night of film music brought to life. For tickets and more information, visit bsonow.org.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, live at 9 a.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
It's not unusual to have fun with anyone, but when I see you hanging around with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die.
842-5376, 842-KERN1. Thanks, Stan Moe. Love me some Stan Moe. He's a good dude. Known him a long, long time. I knew him when he was in uniform back in the 90s when I was a young reporter. Well, I was a reporter. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got?
I think the polls are being manipulated to make it look like Dems are doing better in order to discourage Republican voters. Turnout will decide, and they want to keep Republicans at home.
Well, I think the whole election depends on what the Democratic Party is going to do and whether or not at the 11th hour, Mahan, Villaraigosa, people with significant support can, at the 11th hour, throw that support behind either Tom Steyer or maybe Katie Porter. I doubt it very seriously. Like Howard and I discussed, I think she shot herself in the foot permanently and she's done. But it'll be between Steyer and Javier Becerra. And I think Becerra now has a target on his back because of his dramatic rise and the fact that, if you're just joining us, we played some audio from Abby Phillips' show last night on CNN. They did a post-debate analysis, and there are Democrats that are pointing out the fact that Javier Becerra was considered a very poor Secretary of Health and Human Services, and that it wasn't a very well-kept secret. And in fact, in the audio that we played, Sochi Hinojosa, who was with the Biden administration, said, she basically said, you could ask anybody in the cabinet about Becerra's performance as HHS secretary. And that, with this other kind of controversy circling around his head, one of his friends, who was a very dear friend and involved with his campaign, scoffed off with $225,000. And Steve Hilton last night implied that he believed that Becerra knew all about it and just kind of lent a blind eye. I mean, he wasn't involved in the stealing, but because it was his pal, he kind of lent a blind eye, is what Hilton is implying, which still is a crime. It embezzles my money and I know about it and I don't say anything. That holds. That basically have it, Bronco, Steyer, and of those four, Steyer can buy and sell. He spent like $120 million on this thing already, and we're not even to the general. This is just the primary. But I think we want. I know I'm crazy because there's the old adage that a Twinkie with a Democrat behind its name could beat a Republican in a statewide election in the state of California. But just call me nuts that I just think there's a crazy chance that Hilton can beat Becerra or Steyer. And I guess as a Republican, I find this hard to believe. So I'm blinded by what is obvious, that the state at best gets a D. At best. I think Chris and I said it was a C+ last week. Not really, when you think about it, it's a D. It's a D. What gets us to a C+ is because it's still California. That if you were to go to Palos Verdes today and get on top of one of those homes and look out and see the Sandwich Islands and Catalina, you'd still say, damn. If you were driving through Brentwood, through the hills of Mandeville Canyon and saw, well, maybe that's a bad place to pick, post fires. But I mean, if you're, roaming through a home in Beverly Hills, if you're out in Malibu and you open up the sliding glass door and you're out on the beach, that's hard to beat. That's hard to beat. That's what gets that D up to a C+. But in terms of politicians and issues and direction, we are a D at best. We've invested more money in a train that essentially is 1970 technology, if you ask the Japanese, because they got high speed. Go ask Teresa Goldner. They got high speed rails going 350 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? And we're using their 1970 version of high speed rail. In other words, we're like 50 years behind, and it's costing us more than it costs us to go to the moon. Homelessness is worse. It's worse. Let's be blunt. Let's be honest. It's worse. Think of the massive fraud that has to be involved in all the millions and millions and millions of dollars that we spent on homelessness. And where has it gotten us in the last 10, 15 years in total domination by the Democratic Party? Absolutely nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. The mental health issue is still a problem. The gas tax is still a problem. The idea that this party wants to take the state into a single-payer insurance thing, are you realizing that, Democrats? Is that really what you want? You want a single payer? This will destroy this state. And if somebody like Hilton can make the articulate debate. Even Bianco can make the articulate debate that, look, you're killing yourself. Why not use the basic principle of capitalism and go across the street and see what the other guy is selling? You know what I'm saying? That is the basic tenet of capitalism. Just don't go to one baker, go across the street and see what the other fellow's selling. Well, after 16 years of this state being the point of mass exodus, where we used to be the land of milk and honey, now people are running to Tennessee. They're running to Florida. They can't wait to get to Texas. They're jumping in their cars and packing up and going to Nevada, for goodness sakes. And we just told you yesterday that Nevada is what? What do you say? The 49th or 50th ugliest state in the nation?
Which is shenanigans, to be fair, but yeah.
I don't know, Pahrump and some of those areas, man.
I don't like, there are some areas that are ugly, but...
And it's 80% desert. I mean, even if Henderson and the nice parts of Vegas, it's still desert.
You know what? No, maybe I'm wrong on that
Think
one.
about it. It's still 80%. I mean,
I got family in Carson City and all that, so it's hard for me to...
And I got a buddy who's got Gerard Romalo's got a home in Henderson that is just ridiculous.
Beautiful.
He's got a creek coming down his property.
Has his own farm.
Yeah, their parts. Henderson is gorgeous, but you know, between Prim and Vegas, yeesh. And yet Californians are packing up and going to the 49th ugliest state in the land. Gotta be the leadership. Gotta be the leadership. We're going to talk about the Bakersfield College food program when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K247 Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military fired on an Iranian oil tanker as President Donald Trump sought to pressure Tehran into reaching a deal to end the war. The military said in a social media post that a fighter jet shot out the rudder of the tanker Wednesday in the Gulf of Oman as the vessel tried to breach the American blockade of Iran's ports. President Trump says the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports is amazing.
It's like a wall of steel. Nobody goes through. In particular, the Iranians, they're not getting anything through one way or the other, so they're out of business. And we'll see whether or not they are agreeing. And if they don't agree, they'll end up agreeing shortly thereafter.
Trump threatened Tehran with a new wave of bombing if a deal is not reached that includes opening the critical Strait of Hormuz. The president posted on social media that the 2-month war could soon end. The Lebanon-Israeli conflict is heating up again as Beirut comes under fire from IDF forces.
As the U.S. seeks to pressure Iran to reach a deal to end the 2-month war, in Beirut, Lebanon's southern suburbs were bombarded by Israel for the first time since a ceasefire was announced on April 17th. The Associated Press visited the scene of the strike, where emergency responders were searching a pile of rubble next to another building that was damaged. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says the strike targeted a commander in Hezbollah's Radwan force. I'm Jennifer King.
The FBI has searched the Virginia State Senate leader's hometown office and her neighboring cannabis shop. Wednesday's action brings into public view what was described as a years-long corruption investigation that searches at Democratic Senator L. Louise Lucas's office and cannabis business are part of a corruption inquiry. On Wall Street, the Dow by 612 points, more at townhall.com.
Hi, Flo here from Progressive. You know, life changes quickly, so it's good to have flexible coverage. Oh, you mean like adding another vehicle? Yes, that's something we can do. Great, because I was thinking about getting a van so we could just keep the kids' softball stuff in the car. Oh, we don't need to get into specifics. Just saying it's easy to change. Oh, and Hannah wants to try the tuba. Again, we don't need the specifics. Last year, she wanted to be a tap dancer, but that only lasted 2 lessons. Okay, but she kept the shoes because they are adorable. Well, just know that with Progressive, you can easily add another car to your auto insurance because we know life changes.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career. My Computer Career
Well, what
helped
we
me
got
get the
tonight?
skills
We
and
got Lakers
certifications
tonight,
I needed to start a new life as an
What we got
IT
tonight?
professional in months, not years. Earn the certifications the top employers are looking
Oh,
for
that's
right
right.
now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
It's not on NBC?
No, it's on NBC.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
An agreement to serve 2 years in prison. I'm Chris
And it's
Davis.
horrible.
That no
And you never know
contest
what's
plea
going on.
agreement
And I
was
hate the
reached
crew,
Tuesday
too.
in the case of
With
27-year-old
Maria Taylor.
Salvador Fabian, a former band assistant at Del Oro High School, who admits that he had a
Yes,
sexual
exactly.
relationship with a 15-year-old student, with one
Ralph
act
Bailey.
happening in the
Sweet
parking
Kelly.
lot of the school. The
Caitlin,
plea
nice
agreement
to
is
meet
for
you.
him to serve 2 years, then register as a sex offender when he is released, and he will have a restraining order against him, so no contact with the victim. The name of the person killed in a wreck in the median on
we
South
were
8th
talking about the
Street in
Bakersfield
South
College
Bakersfield
Renegade
Tuesday
Pantry.
evening has not been made public.
Correct.
Police say that person was the passenger in a black Chevy four-door that, for some reason, which police are still looking into, went into the median and hit a tree. That happened about 5 p.m. Police say they do not believe that speed was the cause, but they are still looking into whether the driver was impaired, and the driver is in the hospital. A loaded BB gun was brought into a movie theater in Bakersfield Tuesday, and the man police say brought it in and showed it has been arrested. He's been ID'd as 50-year-old Ryan Brewer. That happened at the Reading Cinemas at Valley Plaza. Police have not said why they believe he did that, but the gun was not fired and no one was hurt. If you're a praying person, the observance of the National Day of Prayer is tomorrow downtown. If you're a driving person, you should be aware that the event will have Truxton Avenue shut down for a couple of hours. That starts at about 10:30 a.m. and will be closed through 1 p.m. from Chester Avenue to Elm Street, says the city. They advise planning for an alternate route. The average price for a gallon of regular in California is now $6.15, says Gas Buddy. The national average now $4.54. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it's on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
The rest of all in a month from now is Hollywood Big Shot's gonna give you what you want. So lady, start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make him an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, Hump Day, 6th day of May. I beg your pardon. Still got lots to do. Coming up, we'll recap our top story of the day, the big gubernatorial debate last night, where Javier Becerra did not do himself well. Katie Porter shot herself in the foot. Tom Steyer is emerging as a challenger to be on the general election. And I've told you who I'm supporting. We'll get into that a little bit. And I'll tell you about my relationship with Ted Turner, my internship at CNN. We lost Ted Turner at the age of 87. I think in terms of communications, he's one of the greatest moguls in the history of communications. I mean, I am old enough to remember when he started up CNN. I remember the laughter that nobody's going to spend 24 hours watching news. Are you kidding me? And of course, I've got to tell my Muhammad Ali story. Because they had Tammy Haddad on CNN this morning. And I told you that's how that whole story started. She was the executive producer of Larry King's show. And when I was interning for CNN in LA, King would bring his show to Los Angeles during the summers. And Tammy Haddad was the one that came into the newsroom. I was the only one there, snagged me, dragged me in front of a camera. And I got to act as the cameraman on interview between Larry King and Muhammad Ali. I'll tell you about that when we talk about the life and times of Ted Turner. But in the meantime, it's time to talk about the Bakersfield Renegade Nexus Food Pantry. And joining me to my left, for those of you watching on YouTube, Caitlin Davidson. She is the program manager of the Nexus Pantry. And Kelly Lowry with Cap K. Guys, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Let's start right from the get-go. Tell the folks what the pantry is all about and how it works.
So the pantry was created in 2009 by students for students. And so we have 4 pantry locations at our Panorama campus, BC Southwest, Delano, and Arvin. And we're there to provide food, hygiene products, and clothing to students.
Yeah. And how is this funded, Kelly?
Well, the BC Pantry, like a lot of our pantries, are partners of the CAPK Food Bank. And so we're happy to be able to work alongside great leaders like Caitlin to provide emergency food access for food insecure individuals all across the county in every community. And so a lot of the resources that we have are donated. We get things donated from grocery stores, things that are coming off the shelf that aren't being purchased that still have shelf life left. But beyond things that are donated, there's also programs that we have access to through the state. And one of them is called CalFoods. And we had a media event today at BC to highlight that during the budget process right now, this program is really at risk in the budget process of being cut. And so we wanted to elevate the importance that this program is for our local residents here in Kern County, because it enables us at the food bank to purchase food, first run, top quality food, then to be able to pass along to all of our neighbors throughout the county that are in need of emergency food access.
Wow. Is there anything we can do to try to support the program? Are there legislators that we can target to say, hey, this thing is important on a collegiate level?
Yeah, it's a state program, and it supports neighbors throughout the county, including the students at BC. And so if people are interested in supporting that program and seeing it continue to be funded at the levels that we've had, they can contact all of our state elected officials. We have 2 state senators, 2 state assembly folks that represent us, as well as the governor. You can reach out directly and say, we need to support the CalFoods program and fund it at its fullest level.
Yeah. Caitlin, what are we talking about in terms of food?
So our operations right now, depending on the academic time of the year, we serve hundreds of students a day to thousands of students a week. So this is a really important resource. Without CAPK and the funding that they receive, we wouldn't be able to serve nearly the amount of students. It would be impossible for us. And when we're talking about students, they are sacrificing to be in school. They are making sacrifices. It's tough right now in the economy. So whether they are giving up hours at work or taking time away from their families, our food pantry provides a vital resource so that they can focus on their studies and make sure that not only do they have a meal for themselves, but they can take something home for their families.
Sure. And the fact that it's catapulted by the students themselves indicates how important this is. That is outstanding. They didn't wait for the administration. They didn't wait for some program to come in. They said, look, we need this. We're going to get this done. That's pretty cool.
Yes, and it remains that way today. All of our employees in our pantry are students. So it's really an effort created by students for students.
Yeah. And every college student, maybe you can address this, Kelly. Every college student knows, if you've ever been to college, for no matter how long, whether you graduated or not, one of the biggest priorities for college students is getting fed. You're starving. You're away from home for the first time. You're on your own for the first time. You can't just go rummage through the refrigerator anymore. And you're stuck on campus and you're starving. And there's stats that indicate that college students are underfed. And it shows that you can't concentrate when you're sitting there trying to read or study and your stomach's growling. You can't concentrate.
Right. The data tells us right now that about 1 in 5 of our Kern County neighbors are food insecure. And so when you extrapolate that over the course of a campus the size of BC, you're talking about thousands of students. And so in every community from Delano to Fraser Park, from Ridgecrest to Boron to Maricopa and everywhere in between, we have a critical time right now of trying to address food insecurity. And so we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep trying to elevate the need and enlist as many folks as we can into the work that we're trying to do to help low-income food insecure neighbors all across Kern County.
How can folks help the Cal Food funding? Is there any avenue for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. First, supporting the food bank in general is a good place to start. We couldn't do what we do without a great partnership, not only with great organizations. I mean, we partner with 150 organizations all over the county and have over 200 distribution sites all over the county to be able to distribute the amount of food that we do, which is about 2 million pounds of food every single month.
Wow.
Across the county. And we couldn't do it without great partnerships and great volunteers. We have volunteer groups that come in on a regular basis to the food bank to help us to do this work because we're not a large team at the food bank. So we rely on great volunteers. So that's one way to help is by bringing a group out and volunteering and helping us. Obviously, financial contributions as well, because we do purchase food as in addition to all the other needs that we have to be able to run the food bank. We actually purchase food, which is what the Cal Foods program helps us to do. So even financial contributions help at the food bank. But then beyond that, the advocacy that we're talking about right now, just simply writing a letter or reaching out to, making a phone call to the state elected officials and letting them know, like, hey, you guys need to really support the Cal Foods program because it's a tangible, straight line, effective way to be able to help individuals right here in Kern County. Because those state funds, they come into the food bank, we use it to purchase foods. And one of the guidelines is that the foods have to be purchased in California. So the money is from California, it stays in California. So there's a multiplier effect economically. And then those resources come to the food bank and they go directly to our pantries all over the county, like the BC pantry, at no cost. So then Caitlin's able then to provide that at no cost to the folks that receive it.
That is incredible. It really, really is. Yeah. And it's been up since 2009. That's incredible. It really is. Mm-hmm. Tell us about Kelly Lowry and Caitlin Davis. Davidson. Let's let you go first.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Are you from here? Did you go to school here? Did you go to BC by any chance?
I did not, but I have lots of family that attended BC. I did grow up in Bakersfield and came back to Bakersfield about 4 years ago for this job specifically, and have loved returning to my roots. It's important to give back where we grew up, and so I get to do that every day. I feel very fortunate.
Yeah, good for you. Where'd you go?
I went to Arizona, Northern Arizona University, after graduating from high school here in Bakersfield.
Kelly?
Central Valley, through and through. I grew up in Selma. I was a Selma Bear, grew up there and went to Vanguard University and then came back to the Central Valley and came to Bakersfield in 2003 and was a youth pastor for a bunch of years from that time. And just before coming to Cap K, I worked at Continental Labor for Shannon Grove. And then when the opportunity arose for me to be able to come over to Cap K and work and help people get access to food, I couldn't pass that up. And so that's how I landed at the work at the food bank.
It's outstanding work. I've been a big fan since my friend Louis Gill was there. I know Mr. Tobias for a long amount of years. It's a great organization. Guys, keep up the great work. This is really, really good stuff that you're doing, helping these students. And I don't think people understand how important these little things are in terms of maintaining an education and how it deters a lot of kids. You know, you run around campus and you're just starving. You're just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to class. You know what I mean? It's really important what you're doing. I really hope you know that. I really do.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having us here and thanks for helping us tell the story.
No problem. Thank you. Quick time out. We still got lots to do. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk about Ted Turner, the life and times of the mogul. He died at the age of 87. We'll tell you about his philanthropy, his sort of great yachtsman. And we got over this before, Chris. Is that the term? Yachtsman? That doesn't sound right. Sailor? That doesn't sound right.
From what I understand, it's yachties.
Yachties?
That's what I understand, yeah.
Really?
Like a rapper.
Okay. Like the rapper?
There is a rapper named Little Yachty, yes.
I tried to catch it, but take a quick time out. We're coming right back. It's TRBS on a Wednesday right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Sweet. Thank you. That was great. That was really good. Thank you. No problem. Really nice meeting you guys.
Kern Radio.
Anytime you got
News
something
Talk
going on,
96.1 and AM 1230. KERN. First Look with Scott Cox. Morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we will talk with local burrito delivery person, Dr. Corey Gonzalez. May, after all, is National Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to enjoy some new dirty sodas from some folks from McDonald's, and we will have state-of-the-art news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. Business owners, how many times have you called your IT company and felt like just another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just the promise, it's how they do business every single day. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media because they are a client of ours and we are a client of theirs. IT is incredibly important for a radio station. We can't depend on somebody saying, well, we'll be out there tomorrow because all you hear is nothing. So it's do or die for us. That's why we depend on adaptive networks. And when you call, you'll actually talk to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no run around, no attitude. That's what adaptive networks are all about. Call today at 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638. Join the IT network that American General Media uses every day.
Gas costs more. Groceries cost more. And Sacramento keeps making decisions like Kern County doesn't exist. Andre Gonzalez isn't waiting around for someone else to fix it. Born and raised right here in Bakersfield, Andre Gonzalez has spent his career delivering for this community. He created a community land trust so working families can actually afford to own a home. He's fought to make sure Kern County gets its fair share from Sacramento to fix roads and build water infrastructure, not just the scraps LA and the Bay Area leave behind. Andre Gonzalez is backed by California's firefighters, classroom teachers, and he is the only candidate endorsed by the California Democratic Party. Join them. Vote for Andre Gonzalez for State Assembly on or before June 2nd. Ad paid for by California Credit Union League Political Action Committee, not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Like I knew you would. Come on, baby, now.
What motion picture does this automatically make you think of?
Let's do it that.
Damn right. It's one of the best scenes in the film. Did you ever think that he was gay when he was young? Well, you weren't alive when he was young. Yeah, Matt himself. I thought he was a little light in the loafers, just a little bit. And then he bagged Sarah Jessica Parker, and I was like, I beg your pardon.
I was unfamiliar with your game.
Yes, because I was a big fan of Sarah Jessica Parker. She still looks good. I didn't know that she dated John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. Yeah, she was on with.
Never knew that.
I didn't either. I mean, I thought I knew the whole panoply of women that Mr. Kennedy went through, including Daryl Hannah.
How'd you find this out then?
She was on with the gay guy that created all the Real Wives deal. What's his name?
Okay, I know
he's married to. He does the New Year's deal with the other gay guy from CNN. Anybody? Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah, help me out because
Bueller. Anybody? But y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know of who you speak. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He was on her. She was on his show, and he asked her, what was it like kissing John Kennedy? And I was like, what? What? And she was like, you did go out with him? And she said, yeah, we went out for a little while. It was, and she said, well, what was it like? And she said, everything you would think it was like. I was like, that's a stupid answer. But
that's her just trying to pump him up.
I know. And you've got a woman that dated John Kennedy, and that's the question you asked? What was it like kissing him? Like, I would have grilled her. I'd have been like,
Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen. Thank you. Somebody chimed that in?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Andy Cohen. And I would have been like, did he ever say anything about dun, 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 dun. Did he ever say anything about that? Did he ever whisper in your ear, you'd be a wonderful first lady? I mean, think about the line that is. Think about,
when did she date him? Like when he was getting
I don't
into
know.
politics, or were they in college?
Well, he never got into politics. I think he inevitably was. You know what he wanted to do, don't you? And Jackie was like, let me think about that. Absolutely freaking not. Your father and your grandfather and every one of your uncles would be spinning in their grave. You know what he wanted to do?
Journalist?
No, I wish. That's what he claimed to be with George, that horrendous magazine that I bought a subscription to out of some sense of, I don't know what it was. No, he wanted to be an actor.
I could have been an actor.
He wanted to be an actor? Well, yeah, you think? I don't know, though. Could he have been an actor?
He could have been an actor.
Really? You're watching Games of Thrones and you're thinking, that's John Kennedy. That's not Raptor. That's not Chris Burdick. That's not Ralph Bailey. That's John Kennedy.
Here's my thing, though. You say it yourself. How difficult is it? He's a good-looking dude.
But my point is, you and I will see John Kennedy. The fans won't see an actor. They will see John Kennedy. It would be like, the redheaded prince. What's his name? Married to the black girl.
Oh, Harry?
It'd be like if Harry tried to be an actor. You'd be like, that's Harry. You know what I mean?
But it wouldn't necessarily be that way because he never would have gotten into politics, right?
Who, Harry?
No. John.
John? Yeah, but he'd always be known as the president's son. That's
True.
John's son. That's
True.
That's John's son. You know what I'm saying? You could never really. I can't think of anybody. Can you think of anybody who got really, really famous and then went into acting? Because that's why George Reeves killed himself, because he thought he'd always be Superman, and nobody would ever see him as anything other than Superman. And I think had James Gandolfini lived, I think he would have gone through the same thing.
Speaking of
I think he would have gone through the same thing.
His son,
what?
Killing it right now.
Oh, is he really good?
He's
Doing
he's
what?
now no longer on the show, but he was on that Daredevil show, the Marvel thing. He was a real pivotal character in that, and he was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, he was great.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Looks just like his dad.
Looks just like him. Just looks just like him.
Yeah.
He shares something with Thaddeus, my nephew. He was with his dad when he died. They were in Italy. They were on a vacation, and they had dinner. And his dad went to the bathroom, and he heard a body hit the ground. Which, when you're 6'3", 250,
you'd hear that.
You'd hear that, and he was done. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
Heart attack?
Yeah. He just wouldn't lose the weight, and I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but we're talking about it. Kind of like the yayo, from what cast members talked about. Kind of like the yayo a little bit during the thing. But one of the most generous guys in the world, when he held up production and held out for more money and got it, he gave everybody like a $35,000 check. And there's a great interview with, I think it's Carmela. I forget her name. And she's like, I didn't get a $35,000 check. I don't know what anybody else talking about. But in Peoria did, the daughter, the son. He was just handing out $35,000 check because he felt bad because everybody still had to show up to work. Technically, you're still in a contract. So just because Gandolfini's not here, you still have to go.
Yeah.
And yet, we can't really do anything that we can put on air because the star of the show's not here. And he held him up for like 3 weeks, which is a long time to have to come to work and do nothing. So he felt bad, and he handed out checks to all his people. He's a pretty good dude. People forget. Have you ever seen what's the sub movie with Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman?
Submarine movie?
Yeah, where there's a situation with Russia. Russia's about to start a nuclear war, and then the communication on the boat.
Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide. Gandolfini is in Crimson Tide. He plays one of the officers that supports Hackman. There is a fight, almost a mutiny on the boat, and there's a group that sides with Denzel, who's his first officer, and Gene Hackman, who's this old school cowboy like submarine captain, and that's where the drumming. Gandolfini is really, really good in that. That was prior to The Sopranos. He was a pretty boy. I've seen pictures of him young, and you're right. He looks just like the boy when he's young. The boy looks just like him now. But Gandolfini was a pretty boy as a skinny kid before he, put on the weight. But we head into the final half hour of the broadcast. I'll tell you a little bit about Ted Turner, his life. I know a lot of you because he was a liberal, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't like him just because he married Jane Fonda. I really wouldn't. I've never understood that because she is just a despicable, god-awful human being. But Ted Turner was a phenomenal man, and I think one of the cornerstones to communications in the 21st century, because CNN was a joke. People laughed at CNN. And Ted Turner is yet another product of a father who's committed suicide. And it's amazing how many successful men come out of homes where the fathers committed suicide. You want to hear just off the top of my head list? Archie Manning, Jerry West, Larry Bird, Ben Hogan, and Ted Turner. Took over his dad's billboard business and never looked back. A phenomenal human being. He truly was. Quick time out. Last half hour of the broadcast. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. In the meantime, you're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News 96.1 and AM 1230. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The federal government can keep the 2020 election ballots from Georgia's Fulton County that were seized by the FBI from a warehouse near Atlanta. U.S. District Judge J.P. Booley issued the ruling on Wednesday. Lawyers for the county had argued that the ballots and other election materials should be returned because the seizure was improper and unconstitutional. CNN founder Ted Turner has died at age 87. His company, Turner Enterprises, says the television pioneer died Wednesday. Turner transformed an obscure Atlanta television station into the first satellite-based superstation and founded the cable news network, the first 24-hour all-news TV network. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 612 points. The NASDAQ rose 512. More details at srnnews.com.
You've probably Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. A fatal wreck on South 8th Street. Bakersfield PD says that happened Tuesday evening about 5. They say the passenger in a black Chevy four-door was killed when the driver went into the median and hit a tree. The driver ended up in the hospital. The name of the person killed has not been released. If you've been following the story of former Del Oro High School band assistant Salvador Fabian, who admitted to a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old student, punishment will be finalized for him by the court June 8th. He agreed Tuesday to plead no contest and will likely serve 2 years in prison, have to register as a sex offender when he gets out, and cannot have any contact with the victim. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Support comes from Amazon Business. You can't rely on guesswork to run your business. With Smart Business Buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Empower your team today. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic.
the delicious daily detox that will keep you feeling your best. Search for Active Liver by Noon Nordic on Amazon or pick up some at your local CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, Trump's continued optimism on the economy seems to be bearing fruit. We have a record stock market. We have gas prices looking to go down soon. And we've also got, of course, the fraud hunting going on as a result of J.D. Vance. We'll talk about that and much more coming up on Clay and Buck.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Ooh. Simpsons up out of that. Yeah, I get most of the fourth quarter, right? Sixers Knicks are separated by a point at halftime. And Minnesota, do you see what's the kid's name? Edwards?
Yeah.
You see what he did the other night?
What do you mean by did?
They first they didn't even start him.
No, because he's injured.
And he was 8 of 13 from the field. He was 2 or 3 from threes, and he hit the shot to win the ball game. He's a bad man because you're right. He's not 100%. He's 85% because they would have started him if he was 100%. But they didn't even start him. But he's a bad man.
He tweaked his knee in game, 3 or 4 of that series against Denver?
Yeah.
So he's playing on an injured knee right now.
And Luka's done.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm reading right now is that he claims the doctor told him at the time of the injury 8 weeks, which was the max of essentially what we thought he was going to get. As of Thursday, that would be week 5. So there's no way.
We're screwed. It doesn't really matter. But I got a fun. No,
there were moments last night.
I know.
There were moments.
I that's what I thought. Rui played well. Oh my God, what was he? 3 of 16?
Something like that.
Like you,
3 or 14,
we can't.
that area.
Yeah, we can't win without him. If he doesn't have at least 20 points, we can't win. We can't win.
I asked this question on the show on Early Bird this morning on KGEL. Is Austin Reeves one of those players where you look at him and say, just keep shooting, eventually you're going to catch fire?
Yes.
Or is he one of those guys where when he goes cold, you need to look at him and say, become a distributor of the ball instead?
Well, I think any great shooter, even Steph Curry has bad nights. And I think as a good shooter, and nobody knows this better than I do, because as a point guard, I couldn't throw a pea in the ocean. But there were nights where my little set shot, I'd catch on fire. But on nights when the team would, like, let's say I had 6 points in the first quarter, just off my set shot, they would start pushing me up and getting in my face.
Yeah.
And any good shooter knows, take it to the cone, man. Take it to the cone. Give him a little play fake and take it to the cone. That's what he needs to do. Stop just firing up threes. Go to the lane and get fouled. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth for any good shooter. But no, to answer your question, any scorer, I would never say stop shooting. You know what I'm saying? I would tell Joel Embiid, stop
He's hurt,
shooting.
not playing today.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he has 2 injuries now.
And now they're still hanging in.
Yep. Ankle and hip, if I'm not mistaken. He finds something to be in, or he finds a new injury every week.
He's the Bill Walton of this century.
You know, he kind of is. That's
He
a good
really is.
comparison.
Bill Walton would have been a beast. Would have been a beast. Bill Walton would literally be in the discussion of the greatest centers of all time had he stayed healthy. And I know you're saying, oh, Ralph, because you may have seen him in '86 with the Celtics when he was a shell of himself. But I saw him in person beat the Lakers with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was with Portland, and he had the headband and long hair. He was smoking weed every day. He was a beast. And I got to watch him throughout his whole career at UCLA because I was a UCLA freak. I cried. The only time I have ever cried in connection to sports, be it my participation, my nephew's participation, watching Tiger, the Rams, the Raiders, the only time I ever cried was over the damn that team. It's the only time I ever actually cried, when UCLA got beat by Notre Dame and it stopped John Wooden's 88-game winning streak. UCLA won 88 games straight at one point, and they went into South Bend, and Digger Phelps was the head coach, and John Shoemate, who would later die of lung cancer, was a great pro for a year or two, had like 32 points, and Walton missed a chip shot at the end to win it. But when they won the championship the year before that, I think Walton still holds the record. He was 22 of 24 from the field, meaning that he missed 2 shots all day long. And then after the year that they won the championship in Portland, he broke his foot. He was just never the same. He got with the Clippers down in San Diego. He broke his foot again, and his feet just, he didn't live long. He was just never really a healthy cat. He really wasn't. And I've forgotten about his lineage. I forgot about Luke. Where's Luke these days?
Good question, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea where Luke Walton ended up. Former Laker coach, former Sacramento King coach. And he just I'm sure he's on somebody's bench. But Detroit. Oh, is he really? Good for him.
Assistant coach for Detroit.
Good for him. That's good. Because I got Detroit winning this thing.
When he is on that bench as an assistant, that team usually destroys, because he was part of the Warriors when they were killing it.
Oh, come on.
I'm telling you.
You can't put it on an assistant coach.
It helps.
You can put it on Bickerstaff, but you can't.
No, I'm not saying he's the reason JB is good. Let's not get crazy here. I'm more saying, like, it's just kind of interesting that it seems that he finds success everywhere he goes as an assistant.
Hey, he's a Walton. Who knows? I don't know. I got more bad news, though. For my prediction, Golden Tempo not running in the Preakness. I think they're about to change that. Someone bought out one of the races, and as I explained a week ago when I made the prediction that she wasn't going to run in the Preakness. In fact, I think that's some audio. I've fallen in love with Sherry DeVoe. She did a really good interview with Dan Patrick. Did you see that at all, Chris? Her interview with Dan Patrick.
I didn't get to watch it, but I did see she made the rounds on everybody's shows. I saw she was on McAfee and
Oh, was she really?
Rich Eisen. Oh yeah, she was on everybody's show.
Oh damn! I was busy putting a radio show together. I wish I could have watched. I would love to watch that. I love her.
McAfee you could probably find on YouTube, and actually I know you can find Eisen's because that's where I saw that one.
Well, here is what she had to say in terms of the race and what she told her jockey before the race. Here is Sherry DeVoe.
You put forth before the race started.
So Golden Tempo is a deep closer, and we've tried to get him a bit more in contact with the field by putting the blinkers on him. That didn't really seem to help. He just seems to like to let everyone else do the hard work in front of him and do his best running late. So the conversation with Jose was really just, you're in an outside post. Just let the field go in front of you. Get down to the rail, save ground. He was going to be wide making his run no matter what, just because of how he runs. So it's really important that when you can, you're not losing any distance in the race, any ground, as we call it. And the other thing I had mentioned to Jose is just in his previous start in the Louisiana Derby, he dove down to the rail because he thought that's where the horse was going to do his best running. But you really can't do that in the field of the Kentucky Derby. There's too much traffic. Horses are going to close you off. And so I just said, just swing as wide as you can so you get a clear shot at it. And if you could have drawn it up on a playbook, then that would be exactly how Jose enacted it.
I love this woman. I really do. And I know I played the crap out of this. This is some more audio that I found on her victory. And what you need to understand about this audio is you're going to hear a couple of things. You're going to hear, "Go, Luis, go." And then you're going to hear her say, oh my God, about 9 or 10 times. But what's important, because you missed this with the audio and the video, when she says, oh my God, her horse is in third place. That's what makes this so fascinating. Obviously, you lose it on radio. But if you ever see this video, pay attention to it because they'll put it on a split screen. And when she says first, oh my God, her horse is in third place. And there's just a sense, because I've experienced, I used to be a big horse gambler. And there's a sense, even if your horse is behind, you can just kind of feel that your horse has the momentum and it's coming and it's going to win. So when you first hear her say, oh my God, her horse is in third place, and then she's in second place, then the horse puts his head out in front. And it's the fourth, oh my God, where in the video she puts her hand on her mouth is when the horse actually wins. And again, as I put it on Facebook, if you she's sitting with a bunch of people, standing with a bunch of people. And she's the first to realize my horse could win because they're all stoic. And all of a sudden you see her kind of jump back. And it's like, ooh, I see something. And then you see her start to like, go. And then a couple of seconds later, everybody else realizes, oh my God, our horse might win. Here is some just raw audio. I swear to God, I almost cry every time I watch that. I swear to God. Because again, as I said, when she first says, oh my God, that horse is losing. She knows because she's a trainer. She's been around this horse and she knows I'm going to win. And she's saying, oh my God, I'm about to win. And then the horse is in third and she says it again. And then she says, oh my God, and now the horse is in second. She says, oh my God, now the horse is out in front. And then she finally grabs her face and her family just grabs her. And it's just such a great win. God, it's just, I love that. I love the underdog. And I swear to y'all, let's go, Chris. I almost picked Golden Tempo. But my long shot was, because I always pick a long shot. You got to throw $5 on a long shot, especially now since a favorite hasn't won in like a decade. So you got to throw money at a long shot. But I like Great White. He was a much bigger horse. He's a gray horse. I always have to bet on a gray horse. And the Bailey Luck. The mush. Only the mush could have a horse scratched at the starting gate. He acted a fool as they were trying to get him into the gate. He flipped his jockey, he fell on the ground, and they scratched him. 25-1. $5. Do the math. I'd have been a happy black man. I had a great time Saturday. I really did. Looking forward to the Preakness. Where I've been to Pimlico. We'll wrap up the show talking about the life and times of the late Ted Turner right here on the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1230. We stream live, KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday.
What happened? Oh, I didn't do one spot today.
It all happened when we had like guests and stuff, so we had to run them. Only one that you would have been able to do was the one. Yeah, as far as I could tell, because he hasn't been on the last 2 days.
Yeah, he quit in May.
Whenever you're ready on promos.
to, I'm telling you, we could end up with a Republican governor by the process of elimination because Becerra's out, because the secret's out that he was a horrible HHS secretary. I think that Porter's out because she made a fool of herself in the debate. If it's Tom Steyer versus either Bianco or Hilton, I'm telling you, we could have a Republican governor. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, we'll know more about the NBA playoffs, tell you all about that. Plus, Thursday, Mike Turnipseed from Current Tax will be with us, along with our money man, Daniel Petrie. All that and me at 3, it's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. Streaming live at currentradio.com. I'll see you at 3.
Well, they promoted my jobs, held a recruitment, and pre-screened my job applicants, and they even set up the interviews, all at no cost. And they even offer financial hiring incentives like on-the-job training.
Wow, that sounds great. How do I get this?
Simple. All you have to do is call Employers Training Resource at 661-325-HIRE. That's 661-325-4473. Or visit their website at employerstrainingresource.com.
This Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Equal Opportunity Employer Program is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. For full federal funding disclosure details, visit employerstrainingresource.com/WDD/federal-funding-disclosure. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request.
Running a business takes grit, vision, and a partner who believes in your success as much as you do. At Valley Strong Credit Union, business banking is built around you, the entrepreneurs, the growers, the dreamers, powering our community. Whether you need flexible checking, faster payments, or financing to take your next big step, Valley Strong brings local expertise and real relationships to every stage of your business. Because when local businesses thrive, the whole valley grows stronger. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your business, grow your future. ValleyStrong.com/business.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, Trump's continued optimism on the economy seems to be bearing fruit. We have a record stock market. We have gas prices looking to go down soon. And we've also got, of course, the fraud hunting going on as a result of J.D. Vance. We'll talk about that and much more coming up on Clay and Buck.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton live at 9 a.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
So we lost Ted Turner at the age of 87. Lived a good life. Married 3 times. Better known as the Mouth of the South. Captain Outrageous. They called him that because he was a yachty who won America's Cup one year. He was a great sailor. And I think his boat was called Captain Courageous. And they nicknamed him Captain Outrageous. But again, you got to understand what this man did. And you got to understand what the South was like in the 20th century. Like, Atlanta's a big time city now, and it always has been for the South, but it's nationally now big because of hip hop and because of some other things. Some other famous folks have moved down there. Tyler Perry has a gargantuan studio where most of the cartoons are produced and whatnot, picking up from Ted Turner, as a matter of fact. And I was there at the birth of CNN as an Atlanta resident. And he basically took a UHF channel that nobody was watching and turned it into TBS. That was his first venture. And the only thing that was playing on TBS were old, literally like the Three Stooges cartoons. That's how Turner got into the Cartoon Network that Tyler Perry, I believe, took over. But and Braves baseball, which Turner owned. So he figured he'd get a station where he could televise his ball club all across the country. It was about the only thing that was on. And at the time, the Braves were horrendous. And then they got good. They got Bob Horner. They got Dale Murphy, Claudel Washington, and Steve Bedrosian, and started to put together a decent team in the 80s. In fact, I think my junior year, 82 or 83, they won 13 straight to start the season. And he had this little station that nobody was paying attention to that now all of a sudden people were watching because the Braves were good. And, you could be on the West Coast and watch the Braves at 4:30 in the afternoon, and it was a tremendous success. And then I think in '83, he starts with CNN, took over his dad's billboard company. His dad killed himself, and he dominated billboards. I mean, you couldn't go through Atlanta without seeing Turner at the bottom of a billboard on the deal, and turned it into a superstation, and then had this idea of global news. And his first thesis was, they're going to love me in airports. They're going to love me in airports. He said, even if we can't get them to watch at home, they'll watch in airports all over the world. And he was absolutely right. And the strides that CNN has made, I mean, they're probably most famous for Robert Weiner, who I knew. He was the news director when I was interning there. I got to intern, as most of you know, in Atlanta. And then one summer, I was just sitting around the house, and my mother said, "You need to get a job, you lazy bum." I said, "Mom, what can I do? I want to be a reporter." She said, "Well, you interned at CNN in Atlanta. Why don't you go intern in Hollywood?" And I did, and I got the gig, not knowing that I was working at the mother lode at the nucleus, where you could literally see Ted Turner every day. Like I said, I've worked for owners that don't want to have anything to do with their employees, don't want to see them, don't want to interact with them. And I've had other employers that love their employees, want to hang out with them, see how they're doing, check out your family. Ted Turner was the latter. He was not the former. He was the latter. He was the guy who the first time I ever saw him in the CNN building, in the Omni building, was in an editing bay, talking to a reporter, just chewing the fat with one of the reporters. And he was that guy. I saw him constantly. I was only in his presence once. I was in a room with him because I was an editor's kind of right-hand kid, and I had to take notes in meetings. So I got to hear some pretty important stuff. And I can't remember what the meeting was about, but I got to sit in and listen to him. And he wasn't a very articulate guy. I just remember he said a lot. He kind of and he had kind of a distinct tone to him. Didn't really have a southern accent, but he had a really kind of a unique voice, and was, one of the huge components of what makes news today global and international. And one of his rules were, I remember this as an intern, you could not use the word foreign. He hated that word. It wasn't foreign, it was global, it was international, it was not foreign. That kind of made it us against them. He didn't like that. And sold out to Time Warner. What do you think he sold it for, Chris, in 1996? What do you think he got for CNN?
$1.5 million?
Oh, Christopher. He has television stations all over the planet.
True.
When I was at CNN, they had 13 bureaus. That's how old I am. They have more than 13 bureaus in Western Europe. Like literally. They have a CNN branch in Lamont. You didn't know that, did you? No. Forget it. $8 billion.
Oh, wow.
And that was in 96.
That's why I was saying.
So that means that's like $15 billion in today's money.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because there weren't a lot of purchases going on in the 20th century that had bees on them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He got 8 of them. $8 million. But I never got to meet him. I wish I could lie and say I had a deep conversation with Ted Turner, but no, never got to meet the man. But I was fascinated by him. I did get to meet Robert Weiner, and Tammy Haddad was on CNN last night. Tammy Haddad was the executive producer. I didn't realize Tammy Haddad is only 6 years older than I am. I was 22 years old when I interned at CNN, and she dragged me into Larry King's show. She was 28, and she was the executive producer of the Larry King show. I found out because she was on CNN this morning, paying tribute to her ex-boss, and she was saying she was the executive producer of Larry King's radio show. And Ted Turner came to her and said, "You got to help me get Larry on TV. We need to have Larry do what he does on radio on television." And she said it was she and Ted that talked Larry into going into television. And as you've heard thousands of times, Mr. King used to bring his show out to the West Coast on the summer, where I was interning at Sunset Cahuenga. And Miss Haddad, who's 6 feet tall, she's Middle Eastern, she's a imposing woman. I mean, she's 6 feet. Imagine what she is with heels. And she comes in and she goes, "Where is everybody?" It's a Friday at 5:45 at CNN, Sunset and Quang. And I said, "Everybody's gone. I'm just tearing off some teletype and putting it on the polls." And she said, "Well, come with me." I didn't know who this woman was. I assumed she worked for CNN. And she stuck me behind the camera, and I got to work the camera during an interview with Muhammad Ali and Larry King, and then got to meet the champ afterwards. It's a story that I don't have time to get into, but they had her on today, and it was kind of cool because there's part of the story that I've never really told. Later on in my internship, I ran into her in the hallway. It was later in the summer, and she remembered me. Some of the young black kids that she stuck in front of a camera, and she said, "How's the internship going?" And I was like, "Is she talking to me?" And I said, Great. I'm learning a lot. I learned a lot from you." And she turned around and she goes, "Yeah, right." And kept stepping. I will never forget that. And she looks great because she's only 6 years older than I am. I just can't imagine 28 years old and you're running Larry King's nationally syndicated television show. She's badass. Tammy Haddad. That's going to do it for us. I want to thank my good friend Stan Moe. If you can get out to the Piles area out there by the river and Kern River Golf Course out there off Alfred Arrow Highway, I strongly urge you to participate in their Piles Boys Camp barbecue, helping young men get out and be a part of the Piles Boys Camp. Our good friend Howard Marcus and Kelly Lowry from Cap K and Caitlin Davidson from Bakersfield College. Tomorrow's a Thursday. That means Mr. Turnipseed will be live in studio, and we'll talk via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network. Our money man, Daniel Petrie. Coming up on Friday, David Couch, supervisor, soon to be assembly member, will join us. But in the meantime, why am I ashamed, Chris? Why am I ashamed? Who cares if I eat Lawson's every single day? Who cares? For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Lawson. That's what's really going on. I'll wrap you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The search continues for 2 U.S. servicemen still missing in Morocco.
Over 600 military personnel are still searching in Morocco for 2 U.S. Army soldiers who went missing Saturday night while taking part in an annual multinational military exercise called African Lion. Amid conflicting reports, the 2 are believed to have been on a recreational hike and may have fallen and been swept out to sea. The Moroccan Navy released video showing aircraft scanning the ocean, canine crews scouring a rocky shoreline, and divers looking in underwater caves. A U.S. defense official told the Associated Press the search has covered more than 17 square miles of ocean and coastline. I'm Jennifer King.
There are new details in the arrest of a suspect involved in a shooting near the White House complex this week.
According to a court filing, a man accused of firing a gun at law enforcement officers near the Washington Monument this week was following the path of Vice President J.D. Vance's motorcade before the shooting. A sworn statement from a Secret Service agent also says the suspect made a vulgar remark about the White House after the confrontation. No details yet as to whether the suspect, Michael Marks, had a particular target. He's charged with assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon, discharging a firearm during a violent crime, and being a felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The federal government can